sixth and final meeting between the Prowlers and the River Sharks in the second game of this two-game set this weekend. Prowlers looking for the weekend sweep. Good evening, everybody. Will Wiggleman here with you on the PHP Network. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. It is Pucks and Pups night here at McMorran Place. There are dogs everywhere in the stands, up here in the broadcast booth as well. And on the ice, the Prowlers are hoping to play like dogs. That's a phrase that's thrown around a lot in their locker room on how they want to play. And we'll see if they can do it here tonight and get the weekend sweep over the River Sharks. We'll have more coming up on the pregame show. Coming up next, you're watching Port Huron Prowlers Hockey on the PHP Network. Come fill McMorran Place at every Prowlers home game this season. General admission tickets are just $15 with discounts available for seniors, military, students, and children under 12. Upgrade your experience in one of our suites, or bring the whole squad to the game with discounts for groups of 10 or more. Find your best option to visit the Thumb Coast professional hockey team by visiting phprowlers.com and find the tickets tab, or call the box office at 810-985-6166. Secure your seats today. Welcome back to McMorran Place. We are just minutes away from puck drop between the Prowlers and the Elmira River Sharks for the sixth and final time this season, as the Prowlers look to go for the weekend sweep. It is indeed Pucks and Pups night here at McMorran Place, as dogs are everywhere in the building, even up here in the press box. Our Kim, who runs the camera for us every night, has her dog Presley up here, so furry friends are everywhere. Prowlers hoping that they can put on a show for the furry friends in attendance. We saw a good one last night. It was a 4-3 shootout win for the Prowlers. Connor Foley scored the only goal of the shootout after scoring one in regulation. And it was another tale of the Prowlers falling behind in the first period and rebounding in the final 40 minutes. It was a back and forth third period as well, but Connor Foley with the second period goal, the shootout winner. Big game for him. Ian Wallace came up huge, gave up 2 in the first, but as Matt Graham said last night, just like the team, he got stronger as the game went along. He gave up 1 goal the rest of the way and made 5 saves in overtime. Prowlers actually killed off a penalty in the extra session and got outshot 5-0 in the 5-minute overtime, but Wallace was fantastic. He stopped Davide Gaeta, Elijah Wilson, and Stephen Klink in the shootout to give his team the victory, as Wallace now 1-1 in shootouts this season. Well, for the Prowlers, that picks them up 2 more points in the standings, now 12 up on the Mississippi Seawolves for third place in the division, sitting pretty there. And Elmira, even though they lose, they do pick up a point on Watertown, now up 5 points on the Wolves, with Watertown losing to Binghamton last night. And with that win for Binghamton, the Black Bears actually clinched the top spot in the Empire Division. So they will be the top seed. The Empire Division will run through Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. Columbus River Dragons looking to be the next team to do that, although still a little ways away. Not too many games left, though, for any of the teams in the league, so we'll see if the Dragons can lock up that top seed in the Continental sooner rather than later. Well, for Elmira, if they want to make the playoffs and they want to finish this push, they need their top guy to be their top guy. Stephen Klink was that last night. 2 big goals for the team. He opened the scoring and also put them ahead in the third. And since coming over from Columbus all the way back in November, he is the leader for the River Sharks with 26 goals on the year in 38 games, and he has 58 points as well in those 2 goals last night. But Ian Wallace, as I mentioned, was fantastic. They gave up 3 goals on 33 shots for a .917 save percentage. And as I mentioned, the 5 saves in overtime as well. Those all were huge. And that gave the Prowlers the victory. And he's now picked up points for his team in 3 of his last 4 starts. So that's a good opportunity for him to continue to try and take that net, with Tucker Tynan unavailable and likely for the rest of the year, as are the reports I'm hearing. So it's an unfortunate situation for Tucker Tynan and the Prowlers, but an opportunity here for Ian Wallace, and he seems to be taking it. As those 3 games that he's got in points, 2 of them have been wins. 1 a shootout loss in Danbury, an overtime win in Danbury, and then the shootout win, of course, last night. Some more bad news for the Prowlers. Paul Arnott, which was expected by the coaching staff, unavailable tonight, so they were going to play 5 defensemen anyway. But in the last couple of hours, we found out late that Liam Freeborn is not able to go. He showed up to the rink not feeling well, and he had to go home. So Prowlers hoping that he'll be all right for next weekend's game, hoping that he just needs a little bit of rest to get healthy. But that leaves a big hole in the top line, as he is the Prowlers' leader in goals, now assists as well, as he's overtaken Matt Graham, who's still on the IR, and points. His spot will be filled by Tristan Sim tonight, as he gets to slide up with Connor Foley and Austin Betterly. Second line stays the same, while Tucker Scantleberry moves into the third line left wing position with Russ Bartlett and Dalton Jay. On defense, Alex Johnson, Frank Schumacher. The top pairing, Brian Parsons, Braden Deck, and Adam Heinzel in there as well. Again, no Paul Arnott, no Mitch Jones. For this Saturday matchup. Wallace back between the pipes for the Prowlers in this game, as Port Huron is looking for the weekend sweep of the River Sharks already this season. Prowlers are 4-1 against Elmira. The only loss coming here at McMorran Place all the way back on February the 2nd. That was a 5-1 loss, but Port Huron has won 3 one-goal games, including the shootout win last night. And they swept the River Sharks in a 2-game series at First Arena, trying to get a sweep here and complete a strong season series with the River Sharks, who are hitting the ice here at McMorran Place. And the Prowlers will be next to hit the ice on Pucks and Pups night. And we will take you down to ice level momentarily for the rest of the pregame ceremonies, as we are seconds away from Prowlers and River Sharks here in Port Huron. The only game going on right now, there's supposed to be another 6:05 game in the FPHL down in Carolina. That game has been postponed to 7:30 due to power issues at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Annex. Let's take you down to ice level now for the rest of the pregame ceremonies.
are present but not in uniform, you may render the military salute. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a special welcome, singing our national anthem, Gabriel Kool-Aid.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Sarah Dent back on the anthem tonight once more at McMorran Place as the Prowlers and River Sharks get set to go. Starting lineups presented by Orthopedic Associates. For Elmira, it looks like up front it will be Brett Parker, Blake Peavy, and MJ Markle, Austin Pickford, and Cam Yarwood on defense with Sammy Bernard between the pipes. And in case you missed it for the Prowlers, Tucker Scantleberry, Ross Bartlett, and Dalton Jay will begin up front with Brian Parsons and Adam Heinzel on defense, and Ian Wallace back between the pipes again tonight. So that means the same starting goaltending matchup as Bernard and Wallace go back again. Both goaltenders with 33 saves on 36 shots during last night's game between regulation and overtime. The difference? Wallace 3 for 3 in the shootout, while Bernard 2 for 3. And we have a dog out here for the ceremonial puck drop here on Pucks and Pups night at McMorran Place. We are just about set to go. Again, this is the only game going on right now in the FPHL. Next one's not coming up until 7 o'clock because Carolina and Baton Rouge were delayed an hour and a half. That one now is slated to drop the puck at 7:30. The referees tonight, Paul Jean and Chris Hoy. The linesmen, Chad Kleinschmidt and John Talue. Same referees as last night. It was a clean game last night. Not too much in the way of penalties. We'll see if we get another game like that. Certainly hoping so. As Ross Bartlett gets set to take this face-off, he'll face off against Blake Peavy. Just as soon as we're all ready to go, Paul Jean set to drop the puck between them. Puck is down, we're underway, and Adam Heinzel dumps it out towards Yarwood to begin things today. Heinzel rims it around, and Markle sent it right through the crease. Parker picks it up on the other side, fires it off the near side corner boards. And now here comes Scantleberry. First offensive chance for the Prowlers from the outside. Rising shot off of Bernard. Parsons back towards the net, deflected in the front of the crease, and it was knocked away. Heinzel one-hands it along towards Dalton Jay. He sends it in. Pickford and Scantleberry in after it. Scantleberry ends up with it. He's forced back behind the net again by Peavy. Centering feed, Jay, turnaround shot, just slipped it wide along the ice. Alex Johnson down the boards, right through the front of the net, looking for Jay, who touches it down behind the net to Ross Bartlett as the Prowlers get some changes going. Just over a minute gone in period one. Markle finds Yarwood, 4 Prowlers back. Yarwood's drop pass right on the tape of Vinny DeCumbus, and out comes Dan Chartrand. Evan Foley after the loose puck, along with the former Prowler Dalton Young. Johnson back at center. He finds DeCumbus. And now Schumacher taps it back across towards Johnson. Couldn't get it out. Nice play by Dumas. Outside try, stopped by Wallace. Foley rims it up the boards. Klink over skated it. So Chartrand able to loft it down. Kyle Powell, long range try off the stick of Newman. Powell steps up on Chartrand at the red line, and now it's Young. Dumping it right back in. Braden Deck around to Schumacher. If you missed our pregame show, Prowlers running with 5 defensemen tonight, as well as 9 forwards. Paul Arnott was not going to be available for tonight, but then Prowlers found out that their leading scorer, Liam Freeborn, it wasn't feeling too well when he got to the rink. Here's Connor Foley. All the way around the net, tried the wrap, and Bernard slides across to make the save. Federley got it to Connor Foley. Thought about another wrap. He works his way up high, slides it across to Parsons. Rimmed around, Tristan Sim taking Freeborn's spot on this top line tonight. Locked up there. It's batted out of the zone by Gaeta. And now Parsons looking towards Connor Foley, but missed his stick. So icing called against Port Huron just under 3 minutes into period number 1. And Stephen Klink's line right back out there. Couple of goals for him last night. Out there with Dumas and Newman. Of course, Dumas, the former Carolina Thunderbird. It's where he began the season, while Newman began the year at Morrisville State University. There's Yarwood over towards Pickford, watched by Sim. Klink stops up in offensive territory, sent it towards the net. It's steered away by Wallace. Held up along the boards. Newman and Deck have it stuck in there. Parsons and Dumas watching. Shot by Klink, glove down by Ian Wallace, and he'll hang on for a whistle and a face-off. 16:32 to go in the opening period. Shots on goal, already 3 apiece. The start, of course, very important as usual for the Prowlers. Still struggling to find some consistency in the opening period. There's a turnover. Markle able to keep it deep. Heinzel hustling after it. PV gets there ahead of him and rims it back over to the far side. Jay took Markle in. And now Heinzel is kicked along in Jay's direction. Tried to feed it back over towards Bartlett, but that went off a skate, and Pickford recollects in his own end. Forced out by Bartlett. His pass up to the Prowler blue line, shot in, shouldered away by Wallace, and then sent back towards the net by Peavy. Wallace didn't have to make a save on that one. Heinzel forced back behind the cage by Parker. Heinzel on it again, rimmed up to Scantlebury. Pass but was behind Bartlett. Jay on to Scantlebury, steps past one. River Shark gets in, and he's stopped by Bernard. Nice move by Tucker Scantlebury, but Sammy Bernard able to make the stop. Here's Bartlett looking to cause a turnover, but Young swoops in. Try to toe drag, but it's poked off his stick by Deck. Headman feed onto Evan Foley, who was fresh off the bench. It was in his skates, and it's played back to Wallace. He'll cover up and hang on. We'll get another whistle, just under 5 minutes gone in period one, still searching for our first goal. Last night was the River Sharks scoring twice in the opening period. They took the 2-0 lead, but the Prowlers came back and controlled the second. So far, relatively even. As Sharktran sends a cross-corner dump in. Pozar off the boards, hit off Paul Jean, the referee, and now turned over to Cumbus. Makes a move to the net on the backhand, stopped by Bernard with the pad, and Gaeta skates it out, and Coleman dumps it in. Sharktran saw it kick along. He knocks it down again towards the red line. Gaeta kicks it up to his stick. Prowlers take it away, but the pass to Sharktran cut off by Elijah Wilson. Gets his way in, for it's knocked off his stick. Sharktran off the window, sends it down. That will die short of the icing line, so Pickford forced to play it. Prowlers will get a change. Pass to Dumas behind him. This one will be icing, and it will be against Elmira. Face-off coming down in Sammy Bernard's territory. When we come back, no goals so far, just under 6 minutes gone in period one. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
I'm proud to serve farmers because everything they do matters.
If I could choose one word to describe a farmer, I would say essential.
Dedicated,
Enterprising.
The most creative people.
they're providing food for the rest of the world.
Some of the qualities I look for when hiring is personality, perseverance, someone that's determined. We want to be able to hire someone that understands what we're supporting, and ultimately that's the grower.
Come fill McMorran Place at every Prowlers home game this season. General admission tickets are just $15 with discounts available for seniors, military, students, and children under 12. Upgrade your experience in one of our suites, or bring the whole squad to the game with discounts for groups of 10 or more. Find your best option to visit the Thumb Coast professional hockey team by visiting phprowlers.com and find the tickets tab, or call the box office at 810-985-6166. Secure your seats today. Welcome back to McMorran Place. 14:02 to go in the Munger Physical Therapy first period. Offensive zone faceoff for the Prowlers off the icing, and they have the top line out there. Connor Foley set for this faceoff. Scored the shootout winner last night. Also had a goal in the second period. Been a big piece to this Prowlers lineup since joining after his season at UMass Boston. Here is Connor Foley behind the net, out high to Heinzel, just able to keep it in at the line, but his pass to Schumacher deflects out of play, and there's a souvenir. Wonder if a dog caught that one. Maybe one of the dogs in the crowd can go play fetch and find that puck. Yet it is Pucks and Pups night here. Already seen a few dogs around. Face-off taken by Sim, tried a backhander. That was blocked up, and now Klink hustling out. Johnson able to cut him off a little bit. Dumas with a backhander. That was blocked by Parsons. And now Johnson tried to flip it out. Glove down by Klink, but Newman the next one to touch it, so that's a hand pass on Elmira, and a little bit of a break there for the Prowlers after another turnover in their own end. Both teams with a couple of those already tonight. Neither side's been able to capitalize, though. Still scoreless. A clean face-off win there for Ross Bartlett. Jay sends the cross-corner dump. Yarwood first on it. His backhander knocked down by Peavy. Met by Parsons at the blue line. That puck touched someone in the Elmira bench, so they'll blow it dead, and we'll get another face-off. Bartlett and Peavy again on this draw. This time Peavy gets the face-off win. And again it pops into the Elmira bench. So we'll drop it again from the same spot. Prowlers want it to be inside the zone, but they'll keep it right there just outside of the River Sharks' end. Pickford up towards Markle. Parsons jumped in front of that. And now Scantlebury working in the corner around to Jay, who sends it right back. Deck from the line deflected, ends up in the corner. It's bounced off the wall and out, and this time it lands in the Prowlers bench. Bit of a choppy start to this game, 12:48 to go in period number 1. Prowlers and River Sharks tied up at none so far. Face-off will be to Bernard's right. Klink able to win the draw away from Evan Foley. It's forced back up the near side. Schumacher waiting for it. Tipped by Foley, just wide. Johnson across to Schumacher, touches it down into Cumbus's direction. Comes up the near side wall. Klink looks to work it out. Glove down by Schumacher. Had his stick lifted. Dumas sends it right in. Bounces behind Ian Wallace. Klink with a couple of moves. Handed it to Chartrand though. Tries to send Johnson in, looking to turn the corner. A shot knocked down by Bernard, and Young able to clear it away before Evan Foley could find it. Chartrand tips it in. Young fanned on the clearing attempt. So now Foley going to work down low. Left it there for Federley. Centering feed looking for Sim. Bernard got that one with the paddle. Now Wilson steps in front of a pass, sends Klink out. Prowlers get back in numbers. And Parsons saw it bounce over his stick behind the net. Wilson reverses back over to the far side. Pozar around to Wilson, taken in by Parsons. They go down to the ice, still battling for that puck. Now it's worked to Heinzel. He'll try this side. He finds Sim on to Federley. Surrounded as he enters the offensive zone, gets a shot on net, and the blocker saved by Bernard. Sim was right there looking for the rebound, but it was up in the air. And Wilson sends it down into Prowlers territory. 11 minutes to go in period 1. Nice move there from Parsons. But Sim took his eye off the puck just for a moment and couldn't take in that pass. Schumacher up the boards. Jay looks to work out his pass off of Bartlett's skate. One-handed along by Schumacher and dumped around by Scantlebury. Craig on for Curtis Hedgie, number 9. He also started the season like Dumas with Carolina. Prowlers back in. Jay, return feed to Scantlebury. A little too much sauce on that maybe as Hedgie gets it out. Peavy works back in towards Hedgie. Back feed looking for Parker, and Wallace dives out to cover it ahead of Brett Parker, who is flying down the backside. 10-12 to go in the opening 20 minutes here at McMorran Place. That was the first good chance for the River Sharks in a little bit. Their first shot on net in about 6.5 minutes. Prowlers had the last 4. Actually wasn't a shot on net. So it's still nearly 5 minutes for the River Sharks since their last shot. Here comes Alex Johnson into offensive territory. He doesn't enter offensive territory though, as DeCumbus was ahead of the play. Smart play by Johnson, but he turned it over. Shot towards the net, blocked. And it's left behind the cage. Heinzel able to kick it along to Chartrand. Goes off the boards to Cumbus, heading after it. He pulls up, looks towards Evan Foley. Yarwood got his stick in the way. Now Foley in the corner, looking towards Chartrand, and another break up by Yarwood. Klink works his way out. Has help going towards the net. Fired it off the stanchion. He missed the net. It took a funny hop right back out in front. That River Shark who was crashing the back post. I'm not sure if that was Wilson or Newman. It's one of the two. Almost had an easy tap in if he had his stick down. Coleman up to Gaeta. Connor Foley comes flying in to defend him. Prowlers poke it out. Wilson looking to put it right back in. Off the back wall and comes out to Wallace where he covers up for a whistle and a face-off. 8:49 to go in period one. Still searching for a puck to hit the back of the net. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
Experience the best of the Thumb Coast at the Doubletree by Hilton Port Huron. Nestled on the shores of the St. Clair River, our waterfront hotel offers breathtaking views that will leave you in awe. Come dine at our on-site restaurant Freighters or relax by our indoor pool. The Doubletree by Hilton Port Huron recently celebrated 10 years of service. To celebrate, we are offering 10% off your stay. Call and mention code Prowlers for a discount.
Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more, anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network, subscribe now. Back here at McMorran Place, 8:49 to go in the Munger Physical Therapy first period. Prowlers and River Sharks still scoreless. After another cover from Ian Wallace, we get the face-off to his left. Frank Schumacher playing a little bit with his former teammate Davide Gaeta. You saw him on the far side of the circle, right in front of Wallace just before that face-off. Here is Gaeta. Couldn't work it out though, as Sim kept it alive for a moment. Now Gaeta gets into offensive territory, heading towards the net. Outside try, kicked out by Wallace, and Parsons rescues the rebound, but he had his stick lifted. Couple of tries from the side of the net. It's still loose. Wallace stretching out. 2 and 3 saves. He finally gets the glove on top to cover. I think Wallace thought he had it when he was pinned to the post. The puck was loose. They got it back out in front, and Ian Wallace kicked out that left pad. I think it was Gaeta who came in on the back side. An acrobatic save from a guy who can make the acrobatic ones. And he keeps this one at 0-0. Wilson wins the draw. Powell back behind the net. Alex Johnson collects it there. Deck on to Scantleberry, has Bartlett moving. He finds him down the middle of the ice. Shot blocked up by some sticks. And Gaeta up the right wing side. Wallace collects it with the stick and drops it back to Johnson. Jay catches back up to it. He rims it around. Johnson stepping up to it. Bartlett kept it along the half wall. But now it's sent out to Parker. Watched by Johnson. Stops up in the corner, tried a centering feed to Peavy, whose stick was lifted by Jay. That shot from the point deflected wide. Pozar steps into it, but the puck bounced over his stick as he swung. That's strike one for Mark Pozar. This time he's able to find Marco, who tips it in. River Sharks and Prowlers both making changes. Quick up is to Chartrand, now DeCumbus. Into offensive territory, forced back. Puck bounces out of the zone, and Chartrand lofts it right back in. Evan Foley and Austin Pickford after it. They tie up. Tecumseh comes out with the puck. Around the net. Bounced it to Heinzel. Steps off the boards. Back to Tecumseh. Centering feed. Chartrand. Schumacher. Wristed down. They saved by Bernard. It caromed over to Evan Foley on the back side. And Sammy Bernard comes up with a huge save. I don't know how much of that was Bernard making the save or Foley putting it right into him. Either way, though, big save from Sammy Bernard. Prowlers whipping the puck around with some good passing. And the captain that close to making it 1-0. They get an offensive zone face-off and win it. Parsons to Federley. That one poked out of the zone. Parsons stops up, finds Johnson. Reverses to Federley. Tried to chip it around Pickford, couldn't do it. Johnson just gets it deep. Pickford and Federley back after it. Connor Foley able to stop that clearing attempt. Knocked down by Federley. They dig away on the half wall, but Austin Federley knocked it down with a high stick, so they blow the whistle. He must have been the first one to touch it after that, as he and a couple of River Sharks went into the boards together after that puck. They say Federley was the first one to touch it after knocking it down with a high stick, so the faceoff will come outside with under 6 to play in period 1. Off this faceoff, Bartlett wins it. Klink had it poked by Parsons, but here comes Dumas to Klink. Had his stick lifted, but a penalty coming up against Brian Parsons. Hooking is the call, and now Parsons and Klink tied up a little bit in the corner as they're separated by the linesman. But Brian Parsons will be the first to the penalty box in this game. 5:46 to go in period 1. And the River Sharks man advantage gets set to go to work. Prowlers penalty kill sponsored by True Balance Chiropractic. The PK was 3 for 3 last night for Port Huron. Still last in the league at 74.1%, but is 16 for its last 16 between last night and the 3 games against Motor City last weekend. Last night, of course, they also killed off an overtime 4-on-3 power play. Helped them get to the shootout that they eventually won. Here's Evan Foley, shorthanded, numbers coming with him. Finds Federley, outside try from long range, blockered by Bernard. Evan Foley first back on it. Prowlers playing keep away, and Schumacher launches it all the way down. 30 seconds gone in the River Sharks power play. Klink up the right wing side, gets into offensive territory, fires it around the wall. Powell picks it up on the other side, head up as he walks up the boards to Pickford at the top. Back to Powell. Now Klink in the bumper spot, stopped by Wallace. They jam away. Wallace has his pads down, and he keeps it out. At least 2 saves there from Ian Wallace. And another in-tight goalmouth scramble that he's able to snuff out and get a whistle. 4:49 to go in period 1 and 1:03 left on the penalty to Brian Parsons. And Paul Jean has just noticed how much time is left on the clock. We'll take a break. And when we come back, the final 63 seconds of the River Sharks power play. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
Take care of all your financial needs at Flagship Credit Union. official partner of the Port Huron Prowlers, serving St. Clair County since 1959 and now serving Sanilac and Huron counties. Flagship Credit Union is big enough to meet all your financial needs and small enough to know how to best serve you. They can help you open a checking account or find a low-interest loan that works for you. Find them at 3910 Lapeer Road, Port Huron, Michigan, or give them a call at 810-982-8575.
At Hungry Howie's, we're famous for flavor, and this is our Chief Flavor Officer. Every hour of every day, our CFO obsesses over the tastiest ingredients, combining them to create new flavor combinations your taste buds never knew they needed. Until now. Introducing his latest master pizza, the Pepperoni Duo. A delicious combination of classic cut pepperoni, original pepperoni, 100% mozzarella cheese, and our famous flavored crust. 2 kinds of pepperoni, all kinds of delicious.
Hungry?
Howie's! Minute 3 to go on the River Sharks power play. 4:49 left in the Munger Physical Therapy opening period. Ryan Parsons still in the box for hooking. Each team with a shot so far on the River Sharks power play. Looks like Klink is being asked to leave the draw. Newman will come in to take it. And off this face-off, won cleanly by the Prowlers and sent down the ice by Alex Johnson. Klink, rink-wide feed, finds Yarwood. Drops for Powell. Gets over the blue line, and it's worked to Klink. Pickford at the top, over to Powell. All the way across, Yarwood has to come recollect. Gets to Powell. Yarwood walks the blue line, switches with Pickford. Takes the shot, Pickford over to Powell. Looking towards Yarwood, Klink picked it up and fired it wide. Wallace was sliding across because he thought the pass was getting across to Yarwood. That's what everyone else thought, but Klink cut it off and couldn't hit the net. Newman with 7 seconds left in the man advantage for Elmira. Pickford to Yarwood with space to go to the net, and it's gloved by Wallace just as the power play expires. For the Prowlers, PK 1 for 1 tonight. Trying to climb out of last place, and again, they've looked a lot better as of late. A very impressive 13 for 13 last weekend against what was the top power play in the FPHL going into the weekend. And when last weekend ended, the Motor City Rockers had dropped down to second in the league in that category. Jay couldn't poke it past Dalton Young. Scantleberry had it blocked away by Wilson. Schumacher will try the other side. Now he pulls up. Moves back up this way. Dumas took a shoulder from Schumacher, and now Scantleberry looking towards Jay. Pass missed him. And it's banged off the glass and out. Schumacher was doubled over a little bit heading to the Prowlers bench. Keep an eye on that. Prowlers again only dressing 5 defensemen here tonight. Bartlett turns it up to Jay. Drops for Scantleberry. His shot in and out of the glove of Sammy Bernard. Comes to the point to Parsons. Walks the line. Fires down low as a shot pass. Scantleberry back in front. It caroms around. And Gaeta able to send it out. As Parsons saw Scantleberry on the back post. Put it towards his tape. He just couldn't touch it home. That one off the glass and out of play. So the faceoff will stay deep in River Sharks territory with 2.5 to go in period number 1. Prowlers have Evan Foley's line out there for this faceoff. He'll draw against Brett Parker. Foley wins it back. Parsons to the net, gloved by Bernard. They'll hold for another face-off. Only took about 3 seconds. Parker and Foley do it again. This time Parker able to win it partially back. Prowlers pick it back up, play to the back door, and it jammed in the crease. It wouldn't go, but a penalty coming up against Elmira as DeCumbus sent it towards the slot. Evan Foley couldn't get a touch on it with his stick. I think it caromed off his skate, and Dan Chartrand went colliding into the post as he was searching for the puck, which landed in the blue paint behind Sammy Bernard. But Bernard able to jump on top of it as the net was coming off behind him. Brett Parker the one to the penalty box, and the Prowlers to the Quality Computer Solutions power play for the first time. 2 for 4 last night. They scored their first goal and the game tying goal on this man advantage as Connor Foley has been ejected from this face-off. And after some shuffling, Ross Bartlett will come in to take it. Parker gets 2 for cross-checking. And the power play goes to work. Frank Schumacher out there instead of Liam Freeborn, who again is not in the lineup tonight. Schumacher to Scantleberry. Out high, Johnson. Towards the net, off the back wall. Bartlett with a diving play, kept it away from Markle. Now Johnson had to track back as Peavy made a diving push. Johnson right back in. Scantleberry across to Schumacher. Ends up in the near side corner. Johnson around to Bartlett. Schumacher. Bartlett again. Sauces it to Scantleberry. Pass to Johnson, hopped over his stick. Minute 8 to go in the Prowlers power play. Scantleberry makes a move around Peavy. Out high, Johnson. Can't find a lane to the net. Goes to the corner, floats it around to Bartlett. Looking towards Foley, who was going towards the middle of the ice. Hopped away. Connor Foley again, 45 seconds to go in the Prowlers man advantage. They've had all kinds of offensive zone time, but no shots yet. Scantleberry knocked off his stick by Klink. He reverses to Schumacher. Under a minute to go here in period 1. Prowlers switch up the unit with 25 seconds to go on the penalty to Parker. Austin Federley weaves his way in. Curls back, gives to DeCumbus, and gets it back. Federley across the sim, he shoots, he stopped, and the rebound, that didn't go. Federley put it back on net. I think that hit whoever that was standing on the goal line. There was a Prowler and a River Shark standing on the goal line behind Sammy Bernard, and they made the save. Final 10 seconds ticking off of this period. Federley off the boards. Prowlers only have 4 on the ice right now, but it won't matter as the buzzer sounds for the opening 20 minutes of play. The goalies win this one, 0-0 after 1. Shots favoring the Prowlers 13-11. But the Prowlers and the River Sharks both unable to beat the goaltenders and find the back of the net. We go into the locker rooms tied at 0. Coming up in this first intermission, we will keep it here for you because the annual Pucks and Pups Night dog race is about to commence. Can Maple defend the crown once again? Maple J has won 3 dog races in a row. Do we have a 4th crown for Maple? Let's find out in just a minute or 2 from now as both teams are heading off the ice to go to the locker rooms and chat about things and figure out had to get themselves on the scoreboard. Yeah, no score here after 20 minutes between the Prowlers and the Elmira River Sharks. The Dogs are getting set to hit the ice here. And there is our champion, Maple, along with Poppy, hitting the ice first. A couple more Dogs that I don't necessarily recognize all of them. Although there is Briz, Matt Graham's dog, who's being corralled by Evan Foley right now. I believe that's Rafi right in front of the goal crease. As they set up for this year's dog races. Pups will get to the starting line. It is the blue line. The dog to watch, second from the far side, it's Maple. Dalton J is set up on the other blue line. That is the target. Looks like we have a 5-dog race. Oh, we have a 6th dog coming out.
All right, who do we have here?
And now a 7th.
Poppy and Maple, and whose
Pop-
dogs are they? 92, don't take.
So Poppy and Maple J over on the far side.
And Miss Maple is our 3rd year in a row winner.
Then we have Presley.
Who do we have here?
That is Presley who they're talking to now. The dog belonging to Kim, who runs our camera every night. Ralphie is next, right there in the middle.
And who do we have here?
We chat with Briz. Over here, second from the near side. And one more. And Scooter. So it's from far side to near. It's Poppy, Maple, Presley, Ralphie, Briz, and Scooter racing tonight at McMorran Place, the annual Port Huron Prowlers Pucks and Pups Night dog race. And there they go. Oh, Poppy is going to beat Maple. So the crown stays in the J family, but it is Poppy who beats Maple and takes the crown and some bragging rights back home for Poppy. The victory in this year's Pucks and Pups Night dog races here from McMorran Place. Always a fun time. Dalton J is feeling, quote, awesome after his dogs win for the 4th year in a row, but a different puppy with the crown in the same household. That is your Pucks and Pups race here in 2024. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you'll stick around for the rest of the intermission report right here on the PHP network as the Prowlers and the Elmira River Sharks continue to search for goal number 1. The Prowlers have clinched their spot in the Commissioner's Cup playoffs, so get something new to cheer them to a championship. The store features lace-up sweatshirts, mid-stalls, team issue apparel, and brand new Commissioner's Cup playoffs apparel, including pucks and shirts. Come find us on the west end of McMorran Arena at every home game, all season long, or online anytime at prowlersmerch.com. You can scan the QR code on your screen now to visit the online shop. Look your POHO best with gear from the Prowlers team store. Prowlers and River Sharks, still no score as the first intermission rolls on. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP network.
I've worked at Pioneer and now Corteva for 36 years. It goes by very quickly.
This is a pretty noble profession where you're giving back to humanity.
Curiosity is so important. I learn something new every day.
What's that next challenge that may occur for farmers? You do really feel like you've got an impact on what's coming.
I can see how we're making things better.
And we have the best solutions for our farmers. Then I think we're here to feed and fuel the world. I'm proud to be part of that culture, and I'm proud to be part of the company.
Get to the Prowlers team store for officially licensed fan gear. Find hats, sweatshirts, jerseys, and more all season long. Visit us in the arena at every home game or shop online anytime at prowlersmerch.com.
At Hungry Howie's, we're famous for flavor, and this is our Chief Flavor Officer. Every hour of every day, our CFO obsesses over the tastiest ingredients, combining them to create new flavor combinations your taste buds never knew they needed. Until now. Introducing his latest master pizza, the Pepperoni Duo. A delicious combination of classic cut pepperoni, original pepperoni, 100% mozzarella cheese, and our famous flavored crust. 2 kinds of pepperoni, all kinds of delicious.
Hungry?
Howie's! Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network. Subscribe now.
Experience the best of the Thumb Coast at the DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron. Nestled on the shores of the St. Clair River, our waterfront hotel offers breathtaking views that will leave you in awe. Come dine at our on-site restaurant Freighters or relax by our indoor pool. The DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron recently celebrated 10 years of service. To celebrate, we are offering 10% off your stay. Call and mention code Prowlers for a discount.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PH Prowlers, and Twitter at PH Prowlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
Take care of all your financial needs at Flagship Credit Union, official partner of the Port Huron Prowlers. Serving St. Clair County since 1959 and now serving Sanilac and Huron counties. Flagship Credit Union is big enough to meet all your financial needs and small enough to know how to best serve you. They can help you open a checking account or find a low-interest loan that works for you. Find them at 3910 Lapeer Road, Port Huron, Michigan, or give them a call at 810-982-8575.
Seriously, not even that much better than you.
Should've just got a ticket from phprowlers.com.
I should have just bought tickets at phprowlers.com.
I should have just got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
I should have got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
They should have just got tickets
at phprowlers.com. Back here at McMorran Place, first intermission rolls along, and the Prowlers and River Sharks are knotted up at none. Will Wiggleman back with you on the PHP Network. We just saw the dog races. It is Pucks and Pups night here at McMorran Place. And for the 4th straight year, the crown is in the J household. But it is a different dog that wins it after Maple won the last 3 years. Poppy, the victor this year in the dog races on Pucks and Pups night. And I need to know what kind of performance-enhancing dog treats they have over there at the J household that is creating all of these winners. As far as the play on the ice goes, both teams had their opportunities, but the goaltenders were just better. Some big saves on both sides. Think about Sammy Bernard's stop on Evan Foley on the back door, and then right near the end of that period, Bernard left a rebound, and Austin Federley put it back on from the back side, but it was blocked by a couple of players who were standing behind Bernard and got caught up on the goal line during a battle in front of the crease. So all of that keeps the Prowlers off the board. And then on the other side, Ian Wallace has had to make some saves in some net mouth scrambles. And he showed his flexibility and his strength, keeping the pads down and keeping the puck out of the net. Both goaltenders have done that so far. Take a quick break, and when we come back, the out-of-town scoreboard, storylines, and more coming up on the PHP Network. Get to the Prowlers team store for officially licensed fan gear. Find hats, sweatshirts, jerseys, and more all season long. Visit us in the arena at every home game or shop online anytime at prowlersmerch.com. Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network. Subscribe now.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PH Prowlers, and Twitter at PH Prowlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
Seriously, not even that much better than you.
Should have just got a ticket from phprowlers.com.
I should have just bought tickets at phprowlers.com.
I should have just got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
I should have got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
They should have just got tickets
at phprowlers.com. Still no score as the first intermission set to expire in just a few minutes, and then the teams will be back for second period action here from McMorran Place. Will Wiggleman back with you again on Pucks and Pups night on the PHP Network. Let's take a look around the FPHL. No games have started yet as the Carolina Thunderbirds and Baton Rouge Zydeco were scheduled to begin at the same time as us, but due to power issues at the Annex, the game was delayed and will now begin at 7:35 p.m. Dropping the puck in the next few minutes, Danbury visiting Blue Ridge once again for the second straight night. Hat-tricks came back for a 2-1 overtime win last night, while the Columbus River Dragons host the Motor City Rockers again. Dragons took last night's meeting 5-2. And finally, the Watertown Wolves hosting the Binghamton Black Bears, as Binghamton took a 5-2 win last night at home. That one dropping the puck at 7:30. We'll keep you updated on all the scores around the league as this broadcast continues, as our game continues. Some more things going on around the league. We talked about that game last night. Black Bears won 5-2, and with the victory, they clinched the top spot in the Empire Division. So they win the Empire Division's regular season. And the road to the Commissioner's Cup in the Empire Division will go through Binghamton. For the Black Bears, though, they won't have JT Walters tonight, as he was assessed an aggressor game misconduct last night and subsequently suspended for a game. And finally, the Danbury Hat-Tricks signed forward Colby Johnson, who was playing at Trinity Western this season. 2 points in 8 games for him. And it is college rookie season and here in the FBHL, and he is the latest college rookie to sign on with a team. Turning our attention back to this game, the goaltenders win. No goals in that opening 20 shots, 11 for Elmira, 13 for the Prowlers. Each power play 0 for 1. And not too much else that went on in that period. Again, though, both goaltenders making some fabulous saves and getting a little bit of puck luck to go along with it. We'll see if either one of these teams can break the ice here in period number 2. See if we get any more power plays. Last night's game was a clean one. This one so far looking like another relatively clean game. So that's good to see. But I want to hear the dogs howling for a goal here. I remember last year when the Prowlers scored on Pucks and Pups night, all the dogs went nuts, and looking forward to hearing that at some point. We'll see if Port Huron or Elmira can break the ice in period number 2 as the River Sharks are getting set to hit the ice. Referees are on the ice. And we're back with our PHP Network trivia question. And it is about Pucks and Pups night. We want to know how many dog-related team names have there been in the FPHL's history, going back through the standings throughout the league since it started all the way back in 2011. We want to know how many teams have had dog-related nicknames. There are a couple in the league right now. So put your guess in the comment section and we will give you the correct answer coming up at the start of period number 3. River Sharks sitting in the ice. You see Sammy Bernard digging in to the goal crease to our right. He made 13 saves on 13 Prowlers shots in the opening 20 minutes. Ian Wallace will lead his team out onto the ice in just a moment and set up in the goal crease to our left. He made 11 saves on 11 River Sharks shots in the opening period. Both teams getting set to go for period number 2. It was a good opening 20, hoping for another good middle 20. Again, last night Prowlers took over in the middle 20 minutes. That got them back in the game. They outshot the River Sharks 17-6 in the middle 20 of last night's game. Let's see if they can put out a similar performance as we get set for puck drop. Those 17 shots, third time the Prowlers have had 17, or fourth time they've had 17 or more shots in a second period this season. It was the third time that they have allowed 6 or fewer shots in a second period this year. Again, could we see something similar as we get set for the puck drop to start the period between Tucker Scantleberry and Blake Peavy? And we are underway. Off the draw, Bartlett quickly comes in, try to float it back to the point. Parsons just did keep it alive. Jay's shot stopped by Bernard. Parsons backhander a couple of times. And Bernard with another save. River Sharks thought that play was offside when the Prowlers entered the zone. That gave Dalton Jay an opportunity to get right to the net with some space. Rimmed up all the way down. That will be a quick icing against Elmira. Good start for the Prowlers. 34 seconds in. There we have a few shots on goal. They send out the top line for this offensive zone faceoff. Connor Foley and Blake Peavy set for the draw to Bernard's right. Foley tried to win it forward. Comes to Federley. Schumacher lost the handle. It's rimmed up to Johnson. Back down the boards. Connor Foley collects, but his pass along the blue line just squirts out. Prowlers touch up, and they're back in on the forecheck. Yarwood couldn't get it through Federley cleanly. Now Markle with his head up, looking for the long lead pass on to Klink. That hit off of Schumacher's skate. And Johnson will start the breakout, but he's forced back behind his net by Klink. Icing waved off. Young collects off the backboards. Spins it on to Newman. Lost it in his skates. Finally able to work it to Dumas. Sent in, Schumacher lifts Klink's stick. Schumacher up the board, Chartrand chops it out. Powell. Headman feed blocked partially by Chartrand. Schumacher was the one that stepped in front of it. And then he gave it up to Dumas. He couldn't slip by the hip check from Schumacher. Prowlers get it out. Young turns it over to Powell over on the far side. Now Dumas with a step as he works in. Kick save by Wallace. Rebound pops over the crease as Schumacher got his stick on it. Bounces off the back wall to Cumbus, looking to work it out. He's able to skate it out. Gets the red line. Enters offensive territory. Prowlers in a delayed offside situation as they touch up and begin to change. Connor Craig gave it over to Powell at the end of a long shift. Long pass on to Klink. Touched in, and they blow it dead. I think they're calling too many men, or are they saying the net was off? I think they're calling it for the net over in Prowler territory. Elmira's in the midst of a change, so they thought they got called for too many men on the ice and were not happy about it. But I think it was because of the net down on the east end of the arena. They were having issues with that goal last night. Issues with the pegs. It's like they're trying to fix the hole over there. And now they're calling for the maintenance crew to come out and help them. Teams will head over to their benches as the maintenance crew gets set to come out and help out. Another lengthy delay because of this net down to our left. Something they'll have to work on during the week. Nobody's come onto the ice, but there's a conversation going on down by the Zamboni door, over where the players head off the ice towards the locker rooms. Seems like this is going to be another lengthy delay. We'll take a quick break and come back with more of this game on the other side.
I'm proud to serve farmers because everything they do matters.
If I could choose one word to describe a farmer, I would say essential.
Dedicated.
Enterprising.
The most creative people.
They're providing food for the rest of the world.
Some of the qualities I look for when hiring is personality, perseverance, someone that's determined. We want to be able to hire someone that understands what we're supporting, and ultimately that's the grower.
Come fill McMorran Place at every Prowlers home game this season. General admission tickets are just $15 with discounts available for seniors, military, students, and children under 12. Upgrade your experience in one of our suites, or bring the whole squad to the game with discounts for groups of 10 or more. Find your best option to visit the Thumb Coast professional hockey team by visiting phprowlers.com and find the tickets tab, or call the box office at 810-985-6166. Secure your seats today. We seem to be about set to go. Still 17-19 left in the Hungry Howie's second period. Net seems to be all set. And finally, we'll get another face-off to Ian Wallace's left. Prowlers up on shots early on in this period, 3-1. They work their way out. Dalton J on to Scantleberry. Into offensive territory, knocked down by Bernard, and he finds the rebound and covers up. Both teams making some changes ahead of this face-off. To Bernard's right. They cut towards the net, and Sim draws a penalty. And then he's dumped in the corner, and they'll blow it dead. Hooking called against Pickford. Sim back to his skates. Actually, they're calling Dumas. I think they may have the wrong guy, maybe not, but either way, it is a Prowlers power play. Just under 3 minutes into period 2. Their second power play of the game. They're 0 for 1 so far. And they send out the unit with Evan Foley, Tristan Sim, Dalton J, Vinny DeCumbus, and Austin Federley. Slides right to Bernard. He'll cover it up, and we'll have another draw. Foley and Peavy on this face-off again. Pickford reverses around to Parker, and he'll fire it all the way down. Wallace stops it there with the goal stick. And now Parker in offensive territory finds Peavy with a shot. Just floated it over top of the net. So the Prowlers had a little miscommunication there. 3 Prowlers digging away in the corner for that puck. They'll come out with it. And up comes DeCumbus. To Jay, back towards DeCumbus. Hopped away. Federley to Evan Foley. Down to DeCumbus. Back out high, Federley. DeCumbus again. Recollects. Gives to Federley. They continue to play catch. Now Sim. Federley the one-time blast. And it's gloved and held by Sammy Bernard. Minute 3 to go on the Prowlers' man advantage. They'll switch up the unit. Connor Foley, this time on the face-off. And now Foley kicked out. Bartlett will head in to take it. He wins it, and the Prowlers set back up. Schumacher down to Bartlett. Got through, and now Peavy looking for a shorthanded rush. He overskated the puck. Parker, who's still out there. backpedaling in his own end, softly up along the ice, goes all the way down. I don't think the River Sharks have made a change on this penalty kill yet. Scantlebury lost it behind the net. Here's Pickford. He'll send it down. 25 seconds to go on the Prowlers power play. They have 2 shots on it so far. Bartlett had it poked away. Markle dumps it in. And not much going on for Port Huron on this man advantage. As seeing the final seconds tick off of it. Connor Foley back in. Left it there for Johnson. We're back to 5-on-5. Foley up towards Bartlett, but he touched it inside of offensive territory. And that's going to be a whistle and an offsides. We'll take a break. 14:54 to go in period 2. This time a scheduled timeout here on the BHP Network.
I'm proud to serve farmers because everything they do matters.
If I could choose one word to describe a farmer, I would say essential.
Dedicated.
Enterprising.
The most creative people.
They're providing food for the rest of the world.
Some of the qualities I look for when hiring is personality, perseverance, someone that's determined. We want to be able to hire someone that understands what we're supporting, and ultimately that's the grower.
Come fill McMorran Place at every Prowlers home game this season. General admission tickets are just $15 with discounts available for seniors, military, students, and children under 12. Upgrade your experience in one of our suites, or bring the whole squad to the game with discounts for groups of 10 or more. Find your best option to visit the Thumb Coast professional hockey team by visiting phprowlers.com and find the tickets tab, or call the box office at 810-985-6166. Secure your seats today. 14:54 to go in the Hungry Howie's second period. Prowlers and River Sharks still searching for the first goal tonight. And now that other games have dropped the puck, I wonder if they've been able to find the first goal. Prowlers and River Sharks had an hour head start and a full period head start on the other 3 games going on tonight in the FPHL. Have not found the back of the net. As Chartrand pokes it away from Young, comes around to Newman. Klink kicked it up towards his stick, but too far. And Johnson able to send it back down. Icing waved off as it deflected off a River Shark on its way down the ice. Now Johnson again. Lead pass. Bartlett couldn't knock it down at the blue line, but he wins the race to negate the icing. Bernard played it away from him. And Newman rims it in. Johnson fights his way up the boards, able to send it off the window and out. Young gave it up to Chartrand. He dumps it back around. Ross Bartlett collapsed on by a couple of River Sharks, trying to find that loose puck. Klink reacting like he took a stick up high. Arms stay down. As Wilson turned it over, and then a collision. Here's Jay in, and he's stopped by Bernard. Rebound, Bartlett, save! And then Bartlett missed on the open net. There's a River Shark down at center. It's Wilson. Scantlebury a shot knocked down by Bernard. Puck batted out, and they'll blow it dead for Elijah Wilson, who's in some distress in the neutral zone. He and I believe Scantlebury got tangled up after Wilson turned the puck over. They went down awkwardly and hard. Scantlebury got back up to his skates, but Wilson still down on the ice. There's a River Shark in the penalty box as whoever it was barking at Paul Jean, I believe, about getting a whistle. That's what I believe the penalty is about. Wilson doubled over, getting some assistance from Prowlers trainer Bridget Smith back to the locker room. don't want to jump to any conclusions about what it might be, so we'll see if Wilson is able to return. Paul Jean having a conversation with Frank Schumacher and Cam Yarwood at center ice. Kyle Powell is the one in the box. Right now it's saying high sticking, so maybe there was a stick that came up high that I'm missing. Or maybe that was the assumed penalty because the puck was knocked down with a high stick just before that happened, just before the whistle. And actually they've taken the penalty off. And for the however many time this season, we are confused about what the penalties are going on. There's confusion on the ice amongst the Prowlers. They sent out their power play unit, but now it's 5-on-5. Prowlers want to make a change so they can get a regular line out there. They have Connor Foley, Ross Bartlett, and Tucker Scantlebury. Foley doesn't play on that line with them 5-on-5, but they'll all be forced to stay out there together. So Kyle Powell actually gets a 10-minute misconduct for abusive officials. Surely the Prowlers will look for a quick change off this faceoff. They can get the puck. Oh, it's sent in, and now they score! Bartlett on the rebound, and he finally breaks the ice. As Scantlebury sent a shot on from the goal line, it surprised Bernard, kicked out into the slot, and Ross Bartlett finally able to put one home. That's goals in 3 straight games for Bartlett, and he has the first one with 13:10 to go in period 2. And he missed the one earlier, had a couple of opportunities earlier in this period. A couple of whacks, missed what looked like an empty net with a skater a little bit in his way. But that time, he makes no mistake. And the Prowlers are on the board. Evan Foley centering feed, taken away by Newman. Now Johnson back in his own end, over to Schumacher. Lofted down the ice, icing waved off. As Tucker Scantlebury and Connor Foley pick up the assist on the goal by Bartlett. Prowlers looking for more. Schumacher, a drive in and out of the glove of Bernard. And it comes out to center. Chipped in by DeCumbus. Pozar rims it. Parsons kept it in right at the line. Evan Foley to DeCumbus. Takes the shot. It's gloved by Sammy Bernard for a whistle and a face-off. 12:08 left to go in period 2. And Ross Bartlett, who had 7 goals and 19 points in 17 games last season with the Motor City Rockers, now up to 3 goals, 5 points in game number 9 as a Prowler this year. He joined the Prowlers right at about the cutoff point because he had to serve a 2-game suspension, and then from there, the Prowlers had 16 games left. Bartlett needed to play in 15 to be eligible for playoffs. And Connor Foley kicked out of a faceoff again. That has to be the 3rd time in this game. As Heinzel wrists it towards the net, goes wide. Parsons back at center. And now Parsons has it again. This time he'll go along the blue line to Federley. Connor Foley pulls up. Fires a feed across to Heinzel. Sim collapsed on by a couple of River Sharks. Kicked along by Heggie. And now Heinzel bangs it back the other way. Parsons goes off the back wall, finds Heinzel. Up the boards looking for Sim, got through him. Coleman able to keep it alive for Elmira. Prowlers up on shots in this period, 12-1. A similar dominant performance so far as the one they saw last night in the middle frame. Looking for more, Connor Foley towards Federley. Turned around, back on net, stopped by Bernard. The long lead pass out of Klink's reach, and then Wallace plays it away. Johnson led on for Jay fresh off the bench. Knocked away by Young. And now here's Peavy. Drop for Klink off of Wallace's glove, and it flies out of play into the protective netting. Again, it was a dominant second period for the Prowlers last night. Exactly the type of period that they needed after giving up the first 2 goals of the game. They have the first one here thanks to another big second period. At least so far, still 10.5 minutes to go in it. Here is Bartlett, the goal scorer. Poked along. Scantleberry couldn't reach out for it. He'll recollect. And fire it back deep. Bartlett and Pickford after it. Pickford throws a little reverse hit on Bartlett. He's lost his helmet. Now he's down behind the River Sharks net, excuse me. And Prowlers trainer Bridget Smith out there to go take a look at him. Bartlett tried to finish his check on Pickford, who threw a little reverse on him. He may have ran into Pickford's shoulder or something along those lines. Bartlett not a very tall player, so that can happen sometimes when he's going for a hit. He's recollected his helmet and he'll skate back to the bench under his own power. .10:14 to go in period 2. And the faceoff will be just outside of the Prowlers zone. It'll be Dumas and Evan Foley in to take it. Prowlers without an extra forward tonight, so if Bartlett needs a shift off, they'll have to figure it out. Again, Liam Freeborn, a late scratch, as he may not have been feeling too well when he got to the rink. The only reason I can think of a guy like him being scratched late like that. Here's Chartrand on for DeCumbus. He rims it around. Klink couldn't work it out. Johnson at the blue line. Got it back down the wall. To a side scrum. Pops out to Johnson. Couldn't dangle around Klink as the puck slides out to center. Schumacher up towards Evan Foley. He'll tip it in. Newman pass out to Dumas. Taken away by Federley. Evan Foley pass back out in front. And he couldn't find Sim. Federley around the cage, tried to come out in front and shoot it. He whiffed, but he's able to glove down the clearing attempt by Yarwood. Evan Foley knocked down by Pickford. He's back to his skates. Meanwhile, Parsons keeping the puck alive again. River Sharks struggling to get it out. Prowlers keep it back in. It's Heinzel that time. Federley out towards Heinzel, hit his skate. And finally the River Sharks get it out. It's Gaeta working on Parsons. They've got the long reach in there to poke it away. Sim up to Connor Foley. Craig tried to move it back along. It's Coleman. Toe drag didn't work as Jay gets it back below the goal line. Prowlers doing a good job right now, cycling in the offensive end. And as soon as it comes out, they put it right back in. There's Scantleberry around the net. Parsons D to Johnson. fired it back across. Parker got a piece. That's Scantleberry cycling it towards Jay. Craig in there as well. Tecumseh looking to pull it out. Jay, Scantleberry, and a shot blocked there by a sliding River Shark. It was Coleman who got in the way and sent the puck over the glass. 7:52 to go in the second. Prowlers feel like they're about to get another one. Still trailing, still leading by one. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
Experience the best of the Thumb Coast at the DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron. Nestled on the shores of the St. Clair River, our waterfront hotel offers breathtaking views that will leave you in awe. Come dine at our on-site restaurant Freighters or relax by our indoor pool. The DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron recently celebrated 10 years of service. To celebrate, we are offering 10% off your stay. Call and mention code Prowlers for a discount.
Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network, subscribe now. 7:52 to go in period number 2. It's been all Prowlers in this middle frame. They have the only goal of the period, but they've been controlling play in offensive territory. Austin Federley has his line back out there. He had a great shift, the last shift. Each time the Prowlers got the puck on net, they ended up recollecting it, and Federley was flying around the zone with it, setting up his teammates, and even tried to get a shot on net of his own, but his line looking for another good shift like that, and we'll try to find the back of the net. Here's Sim across to Schumacher. Rister goes right through everyone and wide. Johnson recollects in the neutral zone. And now Schumacher up to Federley, tips it in. Sim shoulders off Young. One hands it back to Schumacher. Try to backhand it deep. Taken away. Connor Foley on the back check. Lifts the stick of Coleman. Johnson fired a pass across towards Jay, who's coming off the bench. Federley this time able to turn it back into the offensive zone. Pozar looking to get it out. He lofts it to the Prowler blue line. Johnson takes it away from Markle. Took a stick up high, it looked like. Play continues. Parker and Johnson wrestle. Now an arm up in the air. And it looks like the penalty is going against Alex Johnson. A holding signal. And it's Alex Johnson to the box with 6:41 to go in period 2. Johnson certainly a little frustrated. He thought he was high-sticked before that. And it looks like some players are going to join him. Dalton Young and Tucker Scantleberry join. There's also another River Shark in the box. It's Powell, excuse me. So Powell's still in there from his 10-minute misconduct earlier in the period. So my apologies, didn't mean to point him out unnecessarily, but Dalton Young getting chirped by his former teammate Tucker Scantleberry, and certainly the jawing is going to continue in the box. Still a River Sharks power play. They're being outshot 14-1 right now in the period. 27-12 for the game. It's an opportunity for them to get some momentum, although the puck stuck underneath a dog pile. As Pickford Klink, one-timer, missed it to the far side, and that's as good as a Prowler clear. River Sharks start the breakout. It's Klink. Rink wide feed. Yarwood skates into it, goes back over to the far side. able to rim it around. Gaeta taken down to the ice by Schumacher. Pickford at the line. Walks, gives over to Yarwood. Pickford, Yarwood, a drive, he scores! The one-timer from Cam Yarwood. Power play goal for the River Sharks, and they tie the game up. Just the second shot of the period for Elmira. And the boos raining down here at McMorran Place, aimed at the referee, Paul Jean. Johnson having a conversation with Jean. And by the way, Tucker Scantleberry and Dalton Young each received 10-minute misconducts for inciting. So they'll be in there a while. We'll see how the Prowlers juggle the lines for the final 6 or so minutes of this second period. Conversation between Johnson and Jean continuing. Again, Johnson unhappy because he believed he took a stick to the face. He reacted at least like he did just before he took that holding penalty. And then, of course, the River Sharks score on it. Austin Pickford picking up the assist on the goal by Cam Yarwood. For Pickford, his second assist of the weekend. Yarwood has his second goal of the year as Bartlett forced out, dumps it right back in. Prowlers touch up to get onside. Pozar looking ahead towards Gaeta, couldn't find him. Icing waved off. Schumacher claps it down, gloved by Markle, and now Gaeta works in to Peavy. Rister right into the catching glove of Ian Wallace for a whistle and a face-off. Face-off down in Prowlers territory. And again, it's been all Port Huron for the better part of this period. And the River Sharks get a power play, they get the tying goal. Sammy Bernard has been strong in net. And he's a big part of why the River Sharks are even still in this game right now. Dumas sends it down. Peavy and Heinzel chasing after it. Peavy gets there first, but his pass handcuffed its intended target, which was Dumas. Connor Foley works in Federley towards the net, and Bernard gathers and covers up. We'll take a break. 4:47 to go in period 2. Cam Yarwood has tied the score for Elmira. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
Take care of all your financial needs at Flagship Credit Union, official partner of the Port Huron Prowlers. Serving St. Clair County since 1959 and now serving Sanilac and Huron counties. Flagship Credit Union is big enough to meet all your financial needs and small enough to know how to best serve you. They can help you open a checking account or find a low-interest loan that works for you. Find them at 3910 Lapeer Road, Port Huron, Michigan, or give them a call at 810-982-8575.
At Hungry Howie's, we're famous for flavor, and this is our Chief Flavor Officer. Every hour of every day, our CFO obsesses over the tastiest ingredients, combining them to create new flavor combinations your taste buds never knew they needed. Until now. Introducing his latest master pizza, the Pepperoni Duo. A delicious combination of classic cut pepperoni, original pepperoni, 100% mozzarella cheese, and our famous flavored crust. 2 kinds of pepperoni, all kinds of delicious. Hungry?
Howie's! Back here at McMorran Place, under 5 to go in the Hungry Howie's second period. It's a 1-1 score. Prowlers up on shots, 15-3 in the period, 28-14 for the game. Still 3 players in the respective penalty boxes, but all 3 of them serving 10-minute misconducts. Kyle Powell still serving his 10 for abuse of officials. Dalton Young and Tucker Scantleberry got 10 each for inciting. This game a little bit nastier than last night's affair. Yarwood back pass finds Dumas. He stood up at the line by Federley. And it's worked up to Sim. They'll fire a pass across, lands on Federley's tape. Rimmed around, Yarwood and Connor Foley get there together. They battle for it behind the net. Sim comes out with it, centering feed. Foley scores! Evan Foley took his time, catch and shoot. Prowlers back in front. Hard work behind the net by Tristan Sim and Connor Foley. They work it out to Evan Foley, who had all kinds of time to pick his spot and put home his 15th goal of the season. That's points in 3 straight for the Prowlers captain and 4 of his last 5. And he puts his team back in front, late stages, second period. He's out there with his regular line. He may have gotten lost in the coverage by the River Sharks because he came off the bench, changed for Austin Federley, while that puck was below the goal line. Here's Schumacher backhanding it out. Craig puts it back up. Schumacher tried to bounce it back, but Gaeta picked it off. Gaeta to the net, stopped by Wallace, looking for the rebound, and he's able to get on top of it and freeze play for a whistle and a face-off. Connor Foley and Tristan Sim each get a helper for their hard work. Connor Foley now with 2 assists in this game. Evan Foley, Stephen Klink on this draw to Wallace's left. And here's Alex Johnson. Gaeta gets it back around. Coleman was down in the middle of the ice. I didn't see what happened, but Powell was knocking on the glass looking for a penalty. Powell again still in the box for his abusive officials call. A 10-minute misconduct. Here's Klink over towards Craig. That one chopped out of play over the glass between Craig and Schumacher. This face-off will stay inside of Prowler territory. Both teams make some changes. Tristan Sim taking a shift in Tucker Scantleberry's spot with Bartlett and Jay. Again, Tucker Scantleberry still in the box for his misconduct, so the Prowlers, who have 9 forwards dressed tonight, have to do a little bit of line juggling. Markle taken in by Braden Deck. They wrestle in the corner. Meanwhile, the puck popped out, kept in at the line, sent towards the cage, steered away by Newman, and then Markle went down hard. That draws the arm up in the air, and looks like it will send the River Sharks to the power play as Braden Deck is going over to the penalty box, and Markle on his hands and knees unbuckles his helmet as he's slow to get up. Looks like some blood there on the ice, so this will definitely be 4 minutes. The River Sharks assistant coach drawing the high sticking penalty against Braden Deck. With 2:59 to go here in the second period. So the Prowlers will need to kill this one off if they want to get to the intermission with the lead. If the River Sharks don't score, it will carry over into the third. River Sharks power play 0 for 2 so far in this game. or 1 for 2, excuse me, in this game. Cam Yarwood out there right now. He's the one who scored the power play goal. He's lined up over on the far side along the wall at the point. Klink, Gaeta, Newman, and Pickford joining him as Yarwood gives it down to Gaeta. Newman around the wall to Klink. Up high, Pickford. Wrister through traffic, knocked down by Wallace. He regathers the rebounds and covers up with players flying all over around him. Prowlers get a change out there. They had 3 defensemen to start this penalty kill because Frank Schumacher wasn't allowed to get off before the kill started. Now he gets off. Evan Foley takes the face-off, and Johnson clears it out. Pickford kept it from going all the way down, but Chartrand forces the Sharks back behind their own net. Chartrand, Evan Foley, Heinzel, and Johnson as Chartrand put his body into Klink. And Evan Foley took the puck, pins it along the boards, and a good play to fire it where no one was and slide it down to Elmira Ice. 3:05 to go on the double minor to Braden Deck as Gaeta was stood up at the line. Dalton Jay looking to work in shorthanded, pulls up, finds the Cumbus shot in and out of the glove of Bernard, and Jay puts his man down. That was Gaeta. Puck underneath of Davide Gaeta, and Klink able to work it into offensive territory. River Sharks look to set up. It's Pickford at the top, over to Yarwood. Gives back to Pickford, winds, fakes, Yarwood a shot, and the one-timer stopped by Ian Wallace. 92 seconds to go in period number 2. 2:33 left on the double minor to Braden Deck. Face-off will come deep in Prowler territory. Foley and Peavy to take it. And Evan Foley able to get it out to the slot, but Schumacher swung and missed on the clearing attempt. Powell, watched by Chartrand, over to Dumas. Back to Powell. Wrister through traffic, waffle boarded by Wallace. And then Dumas taken in hard to the wall by Schumacher. Puck bounces past him and out to center. Powell gave it up to Pozar. Rink wide feed finds Dumas, but he couldn't collect it cleanly. Schumacher's clearing attempt, though, kept in by Parker. Under a minute to go in period number 2. As Powell from the outside had a shot blocked by Federley. That's knocked down the ice. First penalty has been killed by the Prowlers. Minute 40 to go in the second part of the double minor. As Powell tries to send a pass across off a stick. Johnson went down to glove it. A little bit of chaos there. Newman able to take it back for Elmira and rim it around. Poke deep with 15. Johnson trying to hold it there in the corner. Heinzel helping him out. Pulled out by Yarwood. Dumas across. 5 to go. Pickford. Yarwood to the net. Knocked away. It hit Newman. And then Heinzel pokes it off of Newman's stick. Wallace jumps on top. And that's going to do it. For 40 minutes of play, River Sharks will have a minute of power play time when we come back for period number 3. But the Prowlers, with a dominant effort, outshooting the River Sharks 17-7 in that middle frame, have a 2-1 lead as they head to the locker room. Shots for the game are 30-18 in favor of the Prowlers. And they'll look to finish off the River Sharks in the final 20 minutes of play. Coming up in the second intermission, the season series so far. This is the sixth and final meeting between these teams this season. And we'll take a look back at the first five, including last night's shootout win for the Prowlers. Also, take a look at the upcoming schedule for Port Huron. Big weekend coming up next week. Also look at the out-of-town scoreboard, which will actually have scores this time, I swear. The game stats and so much more. It's all coming up on the PHP Network Intermission Report, as the Prowlers and River Sharks head to the locker room for the after the middle 20 minutes of play. Well, secure your seats for the Prowlers' next home game as they host the Continental Division leading Columbus River Dragons on Thursday, March 28th, with puck drop at McMorran Place scheduled for 7:05 p.m. Tickets are available online at phprowlers.com/tickets, by phone at 810-985-6166, or by scanning the QR code on your screen now. That's online at phprowlers.com/tickets, by phone at 810-985-6166, or scan the QR code on your screen now to experience Prowlers hockey live and in person at the Old Barn, McMorran Place, the way it was meant to be enjoyed. The first of two matchups with the River Dragons this upcoming week, a Thursday and a Saturday meeting. So catch it here at McMorran Place. That will also be Thirsty Thursday, so come out and enjoy all the great drinks we have to offer here at McMorran Place and at Casey's on the Plaza, which you can go to at any time during the game and re-enter the arena from there. So be sure to come out and enjoy the Prowlers and the River Dragons coming up on Thursday. Right now, Prowlers with a 2-1 lead on the Elmira River Sharks. We'll take a break, and when we come back, the season series so far. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
I've worked at Pioneer and now Corteva for 36 years. It goes by very quickly.
This is a pretty noble profession where you're giving back to humanity.
Curiosity is so important. I learn something new every day.
What's that next challenge that may occur for farmers? You do really feel like you've got an impact on what's coming.
I can see how we're making things better.
And we have the best solutions for our farmers. Then I think we're here to feed and fuel the world. I'm proud to be part of that culture, and I'm proud to be part of the company.
Get to the Prowlers team store for officially licensed fan gear. Find hats, sweatshirts, jerseys, and more all season long. Visit us in the arena at every home game or shop online anytime at prowlersmerch.com.
At Hungry Howie's, we're famous for flavor, and this is our Chief Flavor Officer. Every hour of every day, our CFO obsesses over the tastiest ingredients, combining them to create new flavor combinations your taste buds never knew they needed. Until now. Introducing his latest master pizza, the Pepperoni Duo. A delicious combination of classic cut pepperoni, original pepperoni, 100% mozzarella cheese, and our famous flavored crust. Two kinds of pepperoni, all kinds of delicious.
Hungry?
Howie's! Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network. Subscribe now.
Experience the best of the Thumb Coast at the Doubletree by Hilton Port Huron. Nestled on the shores of the St. Clair River, our waterfront hotel offers breathtaking views that will leave you in awe. Come dine at our on-site restaurant Freighters or relax by our indoor pool. The Doubletree by Hilton Port Huron recently celebrated 10 years of service. To celebrate, we are offering 10% off your stay. Call and mention code Prowlers for a discount.
Keep up with your Prowlers all season long on social media. Follow us on Facebook at the Port Huron Prowlers, Instagram at PHProwlers, and Twitter at PHProwlers. And you can find more information on our website, phprowlers.com.
Take care of all your financial needs at Flagship Credit Union, official partner of the Port Huron Prowlers. Serving St. Clair County since 1959 and now serving Sanilac and Huron counties. Flagship Credit Union is big enough to meet all your financial needs and small enough to know how to best serve you. They can help you open a checking account or find a low-interest loan that works for you. Find them at 3910 Lapeer Road, Port Huron, Michigan, or give them a call at 810-982-8575.
Seriously, not even that much better than you.
Should've just got a ticket from phprowlers.com.
I should have just bought tickets at phprowlers.com.
I should have just got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
I should have got a ticket at phprowlers.com.
They should have just got tickets
at phprowlers.com. The Prowlers face Elmira's third FPHL franchise 3 separate times this season, with 2 games in each series, with tonight being the 6th and final meeting between the Prowlers and the River Sharks this year. Let's take a look back at the season series so far. The teams met 2 weeks in a row at the end of January and the beginning of February, starting with a 2-game set at First Arena. It took until the second period to find a goal, but the Prowlers' power play finally did, thanks to a Mitch Jones one-timer. Less than 2 minutes later, though, Mark Pozar tied the game for Elmira. Later in the frame, Jones struck again. Federley gets it to Graham before he's dropped. Graham, pass all the way across. Johnson waits for it, gives it over to Jones with space. Wrist shot, score! Jones again on the wrister this time, off the post and in, and the Prowlers have a 2-1 lead. That lead held throughout most of the third period until Port Huron got some insurance. And Pozar has it again, the Hungarian, up to the Swissman. Gaeta, his pass stolen by Johnson. He's in, score! Alex Johnson picks the corner, and the Prowlers have doubled the lead with 3:16 to go in the third. That one turned out to be the game winner as Darius Davidson got one back with the extra attacker, but the Prowlers held on for the 3 points. The next night, Jones opened the scoring again, this time just 16 seconds into the contest. Brett Parker knotted the score on a breakaway, and then the River Sharks got a 5-minute power play, but the Prowlers turned the tables. Ford out high to Rogers, over to Vartian, one-timer, he whiffed on it, Merritt trying to work the other direction. Now Jay picks up the puck, Prowlers have a 2-on-1. Jay to Merritt, score! The 2-on-1, short-handed, another shorty for the Prowlers this season, their 7th. With 8.5 to go in the first, Port Huron has the lead again. That score held until the third, when Port Huron scored twice in a minute 32 to open things up, and Dalton Jay put the finishing touches on a 5-1 victory and a sweep in the first ever series between the franchises. It was the same teams at a different venue the following weekend as the Sharks took their first trip to McMorran Place, and although Austin Federley got the Prowlers on the board first, the game was tied less than a minute later, and 2 minutes after that, Elmira was in front. Kara Georges beating it out high, comes over to Powell, wrist shot got through, kicked out, the rebound, they score! That's Marquis Grant Mentis in his River Sharks debut, giving Elmira a 2-1 lead. Parker rounded out the first period onslaught and made it 3-1 heading into the intermission. The Prowlers dominated the final 40 minutes, outshooting the Sharks 36-16 in that time, but couldn't solve Sammy Bernard. Davidson put home a second period tally and Kyle Powell hit the empty net in a big victory for Elmira. The next night was back and forth as Davide Gaeta helped the Sharks score first for the first time, but Federley leveled the game later in the period, and then in the second, he gave his team the lead. All or not. Tried to feed it up, turn back the other direction. Or not staples Rogers to the glass. Klink tried to work it out. Freeborn makes a nice move, gets it across Federley. Forehand, score! Second of the game for Austin Federley. What a move! And the Prowlers take the lead. The game seesawed from there as Posar made it 2-2 later in the period before Dalton Jay gave Port Huron back the advantage with 1:32 on the clock. In the third, the Sharks again found a goal to tie the game before Liam Freeborn's power play tally put the Prowlers back ahead. Stephen Klink knotted things up at 4, and that's where it stood with under 2 minutes to go in regulation. Graham, back to Federley, makes a move, Freeborn scores! Second of the period for Liam Freeborn, 90 seconds to go, and the Prowlers are back in front. The second goal and fourth point of the night for the Prowlers' leading scorer was enough to earn his team its third win over Elmira in 4 tries. That brings us to last night, where the River Sharks got off to a hot start in the opening period thanks to goals from Klink and Parker that made it 2-0 after 20 minutes. The second was Port Huron's period as Ross Bartlett got a power play tally early in the frame, and then Connor Foley tied the score shortly after. 1:13 into the third, Klink got his second of the night to put Elmira back ahead, but the Prowlers wouldn't go down quietly. Over to DeCumbus, now back to Federley. In front, Sim, score! It bounced right back to Tristan Sim. Another power play goal for the Prowlers, and they tied it up at 3. That sent the game to overtime, where Port Huron survived a penalty kill to hold on into the shootout. In the bottom of the first, they got on the board. He has a goal tonight. Can he put the Prowlers ahead in the shootout? Coming straight in on Bernard to the back end. Oh, what a play! The Forsberg from Connor Foley. After both teams missed in the second, it all came down to Klink versus Wallace. And Stephen Klink, who has 2 tonight, must score to keep the shootout alive. Klink on Wallace. Klink works in, backhand, stopped by Ian Wallace. And the Prowlers win it in the shootout. The Prowlers got the extra point and officially won the season series. The loss was Elmira's first beyond regulation this season. And much like the Elmira Mammoth last season, the Prowlers have had success against the River Sharks this year. They'll try to end the season series on a high note when the action returns shortly here from McMorran Place. Welcome back to McMorran Place. Second intermission just wrapping up, and it is the Prowlers leading the Elmira River Sharks by a score of 2-1. Will Wiggleman back with you on the PHP Network. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on Pucks and Pups Night here at McMorran Place. But before we get back into this game so far, let's take a look around the FBHL where we have some scores. And we start with the game that was postponed at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Annex. Zydeco like playing a little bit later as they play in the Central Time Zone. It seemed to work for them so far. They're up 1-0 on the strike of a goal, by Scott Sharrock just under 2 minutes into the game. Danbury Hat-Tricks and Blue Ridge Bobcats are still searching for their first goal of the game. Connor McCullum has made 7 saves, Owen Liskowitz 6, as they are scoreless at the Apex Center. they're certainly not scoreless in Columbus. A 6-goal first period between the River Dragons and the Rockers. It's 4-2 Columbus as they have just begun the second period. Justin McDonald has 2 goals for the Dragons. Josh Petrantonio, Kyle Moore, and Ryan Hunter 2 assists apiece, while Scott Kowash and Nick McGill-Diaz had the goals for the Motor City Rockers. Finally, the Binghamton Black Bears and Watertown Wolves are tied up at 1. Declan Flanagan and Blake Tosto, the goals. And of course, this is the most important game for the Elmira River Sharks fans. They are ahead of the Wolves by 5 points right now, and the Wolves with a couple of games in hand. So any way the Wolves can lose and the River Sharks can pick up points. They picked up a point last night. That's good for Elmira fans. We'll keep an eye on that game as well as this one continues. We're just minutes away from period 3. Let's take a look ahead for the Prowlers. A big measuring stick weekend coming up. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it will be Columbus, Binghamton, Columbus here at McMorran Place. It's the top team in each division invade Port Huron. Be the only meetings between the Prowlers and those two teams. River Dragons trying to lock up the top seed in the Continental. Black Bears have already locked up the top seed in the Empire. And then Port Huron hits the road for the final time this regular season. They'll head out of state when they visit the Baton Rouge Zydeco. Those are late starts, 8:30 Eastern and 8 o'clock Eastern. And we'll have them here for you on the PHP Network. Put on a pot of coffee and stay up late with us for those two games. And then one more weekend after that in the regular season for the Prowlers. They have 7 more games after this one ends. That will be the Motor City Rockers, shockingly, on the regular season's final weekend for the FPHL. Turning our attention back to this game right now. It was all Prowlers in that second period, and maybe they deserve to be ahead by a little bit more, but that's how it goes. Sometimes you don't get ahead as far as you think you should be, as the River Sharks got some momentum off of a big power play goal by Cam Yarwood that tied the score at 1 at that point. Evan Foley responded, made it 2-1, and that's where we stand. But the Prowlers took 13 of the first 14 shots in that second period. Ended up winning the shots battle 17-7 as they take the lead into the third period. And we'll see if they can put their foot down and lock this up and complete the weekend sweep of the Elmira River Sharks. They've won 4 of the first 5 meetings between these two teams this season, as you just saw on our season series so far. As the teams start to hit the ice for period number 3, we take a look at our PHP Network trivia question again on Pucks and Pups night. There have been how many dog-related team names in FPHL history? And the answer is 3. 2 of them are active. You have the Mississippi Seawolves and the Watertown Wolves. And then you also have the Brewster Bulldogs, all the way back in the 2015-16 season. That was the Prowlers' inaugural year, of course, the year the Prowlers won the Commissioner's Cup. You had Brewster and Danbury. That was the big rivalry up there in the Northeast. But that is the answer to tonight's PHP Network trivia question. A minute left on the power play for the River Sharks. Ian Wallace sent the goal crease to our right, 17 saves on 18 shots. Sammy Bernard in the goal crease to our left. He's been great, 28 saves on 30 shots, and a big reason why this lead for Port Huron isn't bigger than it is. Klink and Evan Foley on this face-off. Klink wins it back and pokes it to Yarwood, and we're underway in period number 3. River Sharks look to work out. The headman feed taken away by Federley. They'll dump it down right on Bernard, and with Sharktran coming into forecheck, Bernard clamps the glove on top. 19:37 to go in period 3 and 38 seconds left on the Elmira men advantage. Prowlers get an offensive zone face-off. River Sharks have 2 shots so far in what was a 4-minute double minor. And with that dump in by Austin Federley, Prowlers now also have 2 shots on the double minor. Klink overskated the puck. He'll get it back. They've gotten stuck in some water. Left by the Zamboni. Klink fired it off the corner boards. Comes to Powell, now Pickford. Yarwood, back to Pickford. Yarwood again. 15 seconds left in the man advantage for Elmira. Pickford at the top, shot blocked by DeCumbus. Klink walks, finds space, shot it right into Ian Wallace, and he'll hang on for a whistle and a face-off with 2 seconds left until Braden Deck steps out of the penalty box. So make it 3 shots on the 4-minute double minor for Elmira and 2 for the Prowlers during that 4-minute double minor. Posar is hanging out in the neutral zone with Deck set to come out of the box. Connor Foley just dumped it down, and that's going to do is we're back to 5-on-5. Worked up towards Newman, makes a move around Sim, and sends it on to Klink. Kicks it up to his stick, but couldn't dance around Parsons. Klink trying to pull it out of the corner. Instead, Connor Foley does. And Federley works up, sends it across towards Sim. Off his stick, though. And Posar goes off the wall and gets it out. Heinzel able to take away that play. Sim in with Connor Foley, 2-on-1 from the outside. His shot stopped by Bernard. I don't think they knew it was a 2-on-1 for a moment there. As the River Sharks were all jumping up the other way. Here's a missed pass. Foley tried to poke. He draws a penalty as Posar gave him a chop. And the Prowlers will go to the man advantage just over 2 minutes into period 3. And now a little extra as Dan Sharktran is having a chat with a couple of River Sharks. So the Prowlers trying to extend their lead on the man advantage. They are 0 for 2 so far tonight. Evan Foley's line, or power play unit, will start. But the River Sharks start with a clear. And Wallace has to keep it away from the oncoming PV. DeCumbus works his way through neutral ice, navigates into offensive territory and rims it around. Federley had it hop over his stick, and hustling after it is Peavy. That's not Peavy, it's Parker, and he scores. Brett Parker with some speed. Evan Foley doesn't think it went in, but Paul Jean pointed to the net. It's a shorthanded goal for Elmira, and it ties the score. The puck was rolling as it was rimmed around. It took a jump on Federley, and Parker was there in perfect position to go down the other way. It just slipped through Ian Wallace. Evan Foley thought he pulled it off the line just in time, but Paul Jean disagreed. And a minute 30 left to go on the Prowlers man advantage. That now is looking to put them back in front. Alex Johnson up to Schumacher as they switch up the unit. Bartlett back to Johnson. Federley still out there in place of Tucker Scantleberry, who's still serving his 10-minute misconduct from the second period. Johnson down to Bartlett. Slipped it in front, and Schumacher just couldn't tap it home. Federley over to Johnson. Curling on Parker, back to Federley. Johnson, one-timer kicked out, and the rebound poked down to Prowler ice by Pickford. 43 seconds left on the Prowlers man advantage. Federley to Connor Foley. Gets his way in, toe drag shot. He's dumped to the ice, and he didn't get that one all the way through. And it comes out to center. Johnson chased by Peavy. He works back, watched by Parker, and now Schumacher. Looking towards DeCumbus, kicked off his stick. No icing. River Sharks had a man hanging out behind the defense. Meanwhile, it's DeCumbus behind the net. Final seconds ticking off this man advantage for the Prowlers. And it's cleared out. That will do it. Back to 5-on-5. They haven't let him out of the box yet. Posar didn't even know he was supposed to come out of the penalty box. Nobody paying attention there, and the Prowlers got an extra 10 to 15 seconds of man-up time. Deck battling for that puck. Klink has his hand in the air looking for a penalty that he won't get. And it's turned back deep. Deck had his stick lifted. Comes to Dumas. All the way out, Yarwood, one-time blast, deflected on the way through and kicked out by Ian Wallace. River Sharks regain possession, and the pass down low, tipped over top of the net by Dumas. Dumas back on it, centering feed, and Deck able to spin it away from an oncoming River Shark. Puck just kept in by Yarwood, and Wallace hangs onto it with the glove to put out the fire. 14:52 to go in period 3. Shorty from Brett Parker has tied the score. You're watching Port Huron Prowlers hockey on the PHP Network.
I'm proud to serve farmers because everything they do matters.
If I could choose one word to describe a farmer, I would say essential.
Dedicated.
Enterprising.
The most creative people.
They're providing food for the rest of the world.
Some of the qualities I look for when hiring is personality, perseverance, someone that's determined. We want to be able to hire someone that understands what we're supporting, and ultimately that's the grower.
Come fill McMorran Place at every Prowlers home game this season. General admission tickets are just $15 with discounts available for seniors, military, students, and children under 12. Upgrade your experience in one of our suites, or bring the whole squad to the game with discounts for groups of 10 or more. Find your best option to visit the Thumb Coast professional hockey team by visiting phprowlers.com and find the tickets tab, or call the box office at 810-985-6166. Secure your seats today. 14:52 to go in period number 3. Prowlers and the River Sharks tied up at 2 goals apiece after Brett Parker got the unassisted shorthanded goal. That is his 11th goal of the season, 2nd of the weekend, and 1st of the year shorthanded. Yarwood fanned on the shot. It's the 4th shorthanded goal of the season for Elmira, coming in with the 2nd fewest in the league. They had 3. Carolina, the only team with fewer. Prowlers have now given up 9 shorthanded goals this year. Klink plays it in off of Johnson's glove. And he just fires that puck all the way down, and that will be an icing. The Prowlers will reset. River Sharks get a new line out there. Peavy and Connor Foley in on this face-off. Connor Foley wins it back. And Johnson up towards Federley, pops up in the air. Johnson has it again to Federley. Lops it over to the near side. Sim gloves it down. He's able to poke it along, but Young takes it away. Powell, watched by Federley, hanging out behind his own net. He elects to come out to the near side. He'll skate it, and it's tipped in by Parker. Wallace scoops it up, and he'll hang on for the whistle. Shots on goal in this period so far, even up at 4 apiece. Brett Parker the only goal of the frame. Evan Foley's line out there. They'll draw with Klink. Klink wins it back, but Foley jumped on it. Yarwood able to keep it in. Newman. Now Klink leapt it for Yarwood. Schumacher puts his shoulder into him, and now a 3-on-2 developing for the Prowlers. Evan Foley had it taken away. Klink looking to go the other direction, but he in turn lost it to DeCumbus. Klink with it back all the way around the wraparound, stoned by Wallace as he dove across with the goal stick. Evan Foley and Dumas lock up. Klink taken in hard by Parsons. DeCumbus looking to work up the wall. He and Newman battling on top of the puck. Meanwhile, next to the pile, it's Parsons and Klink going at it. Referee right there watching them. Puck comes to them. Parsons lifts Klink's stick. And now Newman took a shove from DeCumbus. Parsons and Klink still battling right in front of the net. Offsides called against Elmira, and now they'll send both Parsons and Klink to the penalty boxes. Brian Parsons and Stephen Klink were going at it for a good 20 to 30 seconds while the play was going on around them. Puck came to them at one point, but the battles continued even when the puck wasn't there, and referees had enough. Looks like we'll get 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes. A little bit of extra open ice for the skaters out there. Prowlers send out Connor Foley and Austin Federley. River Sharks have Powell, Parker, Gaeta, and Young on the ice right now. Prowlers need somebody else out there. They send Deck and Johnson. And now a chat between Paul Jean and one of the penalty box attendants. It's like a little piece of something on the ice. I think something ended up on the ice from the stands by accident, so that's what they were cleaning up. We're all set to go, 4-on-4. Face-off ends up into the Prowlers zone. Johnson curls back and stops up again. Looking to work north, he finds Federley, who gives him the return feed. Johnson turning the corner, lost it to Gaeta. Now Parker looking towards Gaeta, who's behind him. Johnson recollects possession. Quick up to Connor Foley, kicks it to his stick. As a man going towards the net tried to get it there. Didn't get much on the pass, though. Federle steals in front. Connor Foley couldn't knock it out of the air. And now it's picked up again by Foley in offensive territory. Pulls up on Pickford. Comes all the way to the line. Heinzel a drive. It's gloved by Bernard. As Heinzel had some space to walk in and fire it. 55 seconds gone in the 4-on-4. Tucker Scantleberry back out there. They'll take the draw against Dumas. Dumas wins it back. Yarwood first on it. Watched by Scantleberry. Cam Yarwood looks to Dumas, who gives it back. Scantleberry attacks. Yarwood reverses back behind the cage. Pickford finally will start to work his way out, but it's poked off his stick by Scantleberry. He collects the puck, and then he's tripped up. He and Pickford both go down to the ice. Fans want a penalty. Prowlers back in. Scantleberry, a shot just goes wide. Schumacher ended up in the net, and they blew it dead. The net didn't come off, so unless they're calling a penalty, I don't know why they blew the play dead. Why did the whistles blow? That net is still on its moorings. It did not move. All that happened was Frank Schumacher slid into the crease, but he was getting back up. Strange. 23 seconds to go in the 4-on-4. Face off to Bernard's right. Fans letting the referees have it during that break there. As Powell works his way out. Dumps it off the far side corner. Deck keeping it away from Parker. And now Bartlett reverses behind the cage. Braden Deck again steps in front of Brett Parker. Parsons and Klink on the ice. So we're back to 5-on-5. Alex Johnson off the glass. Evan Foley gives it back to him. Trying to recollect it. Chips it around Yarwood. Now Johnson down to his knees. Puck underneath him. Two River Sharks digging away. Connor Foley comes in to step into Gaeta. Gaeta reverses around to the far side. Powell off the glass and down. And that will be an icing against the Elmira River Sharks with 5 ticks away from the midway point of this third period. It's a 2-2 game. We saw overtime last night, and it's not out of the question here tonight. We even saw a shootout last night. There's Connor Foley and Brett Parker get set for this draw. And now Connor Foley wins it back clean. Parsons from the line. Gets it down to Federle. Behind the net, it's DeCumbus. Centering feed back towards Federle. Took a stick up high. Parsons put it back on net. Missed. And now they blow the whistle. There's no arm in the air. But Austin Federle took a River Shark stick to the face. We'll continue 5-on-5 when we come back. 9:53 to go in period 3.
Experience the best of the Thumb Coast at the DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron. Nestled on the shores of the St. Clair River, our waterfront hotel offers breathtaking views that will leave you in awe. Come dine at our on-site restaurant Freighters or relax by our indoor pool. The DoubleTree by Hilton Port Huron recently celebrated 10 years of service. To celebrate, we are offering 10% off your stay. Call and mention code Prowlers for a discount.
Hey Prowlers fans, the Port Huron Prowlers YouTube channel is now PHP Network, but don't worry, everything is still in the same great place. Catch every game live or on demand, watch highlights, interviews, and more, anytime, anywhere. The PHP Network is your home for all things Prowlers, and it's always free to watch right here on the PHP Network YouTube channel. PHP Network. Subscribe now. That's the midway point of period number 3. Another player gets a stick to the chops, and the arms stay down once again. I think they've missed a couple of those on both sides here tonight. Evan Foley and MJ Markle chatting with both referees right now. We will continue at 5-on-5. Face-off will be deep in River Sharks territory. On that last one, the puck was coming over to Federley. He took the stick to the face as he was trying to whack at it. Ended up not being able to with the stick coming up, but again, we stay 5-on-5. Connor Foley as his line out there. Federley seems to be all right after the TV timeout, as Connor Foley draws with Peavy. Tucker Scantleberry taking a shift on this line, and Peavy has been removed from the dot. Dumas will take it in his place, and off the draw, Federley turns the corner. Gave it away to Pickford, but Federley keeps working, gets the puck back. Backhand feed, looking towards Scantleberry, is cut off. Played off the Zamboni door. They'll say they didn't get to the red line, so icing called against Elmira. And the face-off coming all the way back down again. And a good call there. Newman was about 2 steps behind the red line. Sometimes they'll give you a step or a half step of leeway, but he was a good distance back. There's Federley reversing it around to Scantleberry. Got it towards Connor Foley, who comes out from behind the net with it. Out to Johnson, looking for a shooting lane. Can't find one, so cycle it around again. Deck keeps it in at the line, but he gave it away. Out comes Peavy with it. Tried to make a centering feed. That was blocked. And Connor Foley able to find Scantleberry, who gives it back to him. Foley gets to a shooting position, sent it down low where Scantleberry was crashing, and then Bernard able to glove a shot back on goal from Dan Chartrand off the boards. Not too much in the shots department in this third period. Shots right now 5-5. Both teams, the Prowlers have reached double digits in each of the first 2 periods in shots on goal. River Sharks did so in the first, only 7 shots for them though in the second. Chartrand curls down the wall. Centering feed popped up in the air. I think Bernard got the paddle on it. Parsons does all he can just to keep it in and get it back deep. Chartrand back on it. Wrapped up by Parker. DeCumbus spinning away. Gets to the front of the net. DeCumbus slides it through, and it just missed wide. The lead pass towards Gaeta, knocked down by Vinny DeCumbus. Gaeta has it back. He gives to Parker, bounced off his stick. Now Powell up to Klink. Long range try, fought off by Wallace and then knocked out of the air by Frank Schumacher. Guess they'll say it was touched by a Prowler next, so we'll get a whistle and a face-off. But Wallace made the save. It popped up in the air. That may have been going to land behind him if not for Frank Schumacher. Some good hand-eye there from the Prowlers defenseman. tied up, comes to Yarwood off the draw. He rims it around. Newman spinning on Bartlett. Steps out with it. Newman a shot off a stick, and it flies out of play. A couple of good moves out of the corner from Trevor Newman, looking for his second pro goal. Prowlers pinned in their own end right now. They'll send out Connor Foley, Tristan Sim, and Dalton Jay. A little bit of line juggling here for Port Huron. PV removed from the faceoff once again. Newman towards the net. Wallace poked it away, and he makes a kick save on Dumas. Newman battling with Heinzel, takes him into the boards, and now Johnson gives to Sim. He spins back up to Johnson. They'll just backhand it in. Yarwood and Sim come together. This time they'll get a stick up high. And Tristan Sim down in the corner. Cam Yarwood doesn't like the call. And a crowd gathering as well. Sim seems to be all right as he'll skate back to the Prowler bench. Yarwood to the box. It will be 2 minutes for high sticking against him. So the Prowlers power play, which has not scored yet tonight, has an opportunity to put them in front. 7:10 to go in period 3. This is their 5th opportunity of the game. Their 4th opportunity, I believe. Pardon me. The unit led by Evan Foley will start. It's dropped there, tied up, and the Prowlers able to work it to Decumbus. Now Jay, watched by 2 River Sharks. This pass hit off of one of them, but Decumbus able to find it on the near side. Behind the net, it's Chartrand, around to Jay. Federley up top, over to Decumbus. Chartrand set up in front. Federley shot it there, stopped by Bernard, and the rebound poked to the corner. It pops out, and Pickford able to dump it down. Federley leaves it for Decumbus. He works his way in, and now Federley try to pass deep. That was taken away easily by Pickford, who read that play. Dalton Jay gets it up towards Connor Foley, fresh off the bench. He lost the handle. Now Prowlers will need to reset again. 55 seconds left to go on their man advantage. Wallace took a look over his shoulder, saw Blake Peavy coming, and he gave it up to Federley. Now Scantleberry up the left wing side, gets into offensive territory. He left it behind the net for Connor Foley. He lost the puck. Posar's clearing attempt, gloved down nicely by Bartlett. Scantleberry couldn't find a lane to the net. Johnson risks it there, just floats wide. 22 seconds left to go on the power play. Schumacher up to Bartlett. Now Scantleberry forced back. He blew a tire, and now here comes Parker, who is a shorty in the period, and his shot stopped by Wallace. Prowlers look to work back up with numbers as the penalty set to expire. Johnson pulls up. Bartlett follows it up. He's dumped by Parker. Klink still on the ice. He gets up slowly, heads after his loose stick. And finally, Powell settles down the puck. He'll sauce it on for Klink. Poked off his stick by Connor Foley. They both go to the ice. Johnson with some skating space. They'll give it to Scantleberry. 2-on-2 rush as Scantleberry's shot is stopped by a stick that rode it out of play. And Scantleberry getting some attention from both Pickford and Powell. 4:42 to go in period 3. It's a tie game just like it was last night at this time. Will we find a late goal? Stay tuned. You're on the PHP Network.
Take care of all your financial needs at Flagship Credit Union, official partner of the Port Huron Prowlers. Serving St. Clair County since 1959 and now serving Sanilac and Huron counties. Flagship Credit Union is big enough to meet all your financial needs and small enough to know how to best serve you. They can help you open a checking account or find a low-interest loan that works for you. Find them at 3910 Lapeer Road, Port Huron, Michigan, or give them a call at 810-982-8575.
At Hungry Howie's, we're famous for flavor, and this is our Chief Flavor Officer. Every hour of every day, our CFO obsesses over the tastiest ingredients, combining them to create new flavor combinations your taste buds never knew they needed. Until now. Introducing his latest master pizza, the Pepperoni Duo. A delicious combination of classic cut pepperoni, original pepperoni, 100% mozzarella cheese, and our famous flavored crust. 2 kinds of pepperoni, all kinds of delicious.
Hungry?
Howie's! We invite you to tune into our next broadcast on Thursday, March 28th, when the Prowlers take on the Columbus River Dragons. Puck drop is scheduled for 7:05 p.m. and the pregame show starts at 6:50. It's all right here on the PHP Network. That is Thursday, the 28th. The only home Thursday game for the Prowlers this season. The only other Thursday game that they played was against Elmira. That was in Elmira all the way back in January. Parsons taken down behind the net. Newman with the puck. Got it out to Klink. Quick shot. Fought off by Wallace. Quick reaction save there. Chartrand pulls up in offensive territory. Pass was behind Evan Foley. And now Dumas works out. Looking towards Klink. Chartrand able to impede that pass enough to send the River Sharks offside. Frustration from Stephen Klink over on the Elmira bench. Faceoff will be at center ice. As Connor Foley set to take it against Blake Peavy. Heinzel works it up the boards. Bernard left it there for Young. Streaking up and took a big hip check from Austin Federley. That gets the fans riled up. Young back on it. This time he'll just dump it. Schumacher to Heinzel. Peavy came in on the forecheck. Scantleberry lost it to Gaeta. And now Parker with it. Gets in his shot. Missed wide. Young off the back wall. Schumacher and Peavy battling. Comes up to Powell. Long range try. Gloved by Ian Wallace. And he'll freeze it with 3:26 left to go in regulation.
All right, Prowler fans, get those 50-50 tickets out and have the winning numbers.
The face-off to Wallace's left. Evan Foley, Stephen Klink for this draw. Expect to continue to see a lot of Klink as this game continues to wane down in the final minutes. To Cumbus, on to Evan Foley, 3-on-2 if they hurry. Klink hustling back. Here's Evan Foley towards the net, stopped by Bernard, and he's able to clip the glove on top of the rebound. A couple of players battling in front end, Chartrand involved. I'll put the face-off to Bernard's left. Klink and Evan Foley again. This time all the way down on the other side of the ice. Klink wins it. Yarwood's clear attempt, blocked down by Johnson. Chartrand cycles it around. Johnson pinching in. Puck pops up in the air. Lands in play. River Sharks able to force it out. Johnson lost it. And now Chartrand on the near side. Couldn't pull off the toe drag. He gets it deep. Dumas stepped in front of Evan Foley. And now Yarwood works in, lost the handle. Yarwood trying to step out of the corner with it. Cycled around, Parker. He and Parsons battling here. Parker whipping around the zone. The one-timer from Klink, and another glove save by Ian Wallace. 2:23 to go in regulation. Still a 2-2 game. Off this draw, it comes back to the corner. Schumacher rimmed it around. Scantleberry able to touch it past Young. Powell backs him up. Scantleberry cut off the dump attempt. He's into offensive territory. Shot from the outside. This time it's Bernard's opportunity to show off the catching glove. Now Tristan Sim out there with Bartlett and Jay. It seems to be the switch the Prowlers made. Sim and Scantleberry taking each other's spots. Bartlett tried to win it forward, couldn't pick it up on the other side. And he puts Young into the glass. Now Bartlett centering feed, and Jay just didn't get all of it. Gaeta fake the pass around. Here's Sim chasing back after it. Now Bartlett behind the cage, tried to feather it out in front. It's there in the crease. And Bernard puts the glove on top again. Another whistle, another face-off, minute 41 left to go in regulation. Will we see overtime for the second straight night? And now Klink will be ejected from the face-off. Dumas to line up against Connor Foley. Pickford hassled by Scantleberry. Newman lost it, and Scantleberry gets it back deep. Markle quick up. Icing waved off as it hit a Prowler. Parsons back for it. Plays it up the wall. Federley on towards Connor Foley. They couldn't connect. Newman turns it back the other direction. Klink kicked it in. Parsons back out. Connor Foley all by himself. Tried to make a move at the blue line. Scantleberry comes into support. The River Sharks move it out. Johnson tried to dump it back in, and up comes Dumas in the final minute. Took a bump from Schumacher fresh off the bench, and Schumacher takes the reverse speed from Scantleberry. Lead pass on to Sharktread. Back towards Frank Schumacher. Prowlers in the midst of a change, and they get caught in it. Is a too many men on the ice call coming? The whistle's blew, but there was no signal. I don't think the Prowlers had 6 on the ice. Paul Jean over there talking to the scorer's table. Prowlers were adamant that they only had 5 on the ice. Elmira has called timeout. And it looks like the penalty is coming to Port Huron for too many men on the ice with 46.3 to go. And not a good time for a penalty like that. Let's see if I can count the Prowlers here on the ice. Of course, from who I can see. I don't know, that was close. The referee saw it clearly enough to raise the arm and call the penalty. Prowlers disagree, but they will have to kill this one off. 46.3 seconds to go in a tie game. And if they want to get a point, they'll, again, have to at least kill off this little bit. Ross Bartlett is being sent to the locker room. He was one of the Prowlers that was adamant about how many skaters were on the ice. Evan Foley has also been put down for abuse of officials. Ross Bartlett and Evan Foley, two guys who have seen time in overtime last night, will be unavailable for the rest of this game. So the River Sharks work up. It's Klink with 30. Gets into offensive territory, makes a move, and his shot floats into Wallace's glove. 24.6 up on the clock. And the True Balance penalty kill is going to work again. Klink won it to the boards. Yarwood gives it to Pickford. Yarwood one-timer blocked by Heinzel, sliding down. A big block by Adam. Heinzel, Prowlers poke it out of the zone. 10 seconds left in regulation. Newman to Yarwood with 4. Drop pass stolen by Connor Foley. And for the second straight night, these teams will go to overtime. The Prowlers and River Sharks can't settle things in regulation. And overtime is next. 2-2-hour score. So we take a look at the overtime records for both of these teams. Again, these have not changed from last night because these are the records of games that have ended in overtime. River Sharks have 1 overtime goal. Prowlers have 4. But Port Huron has also given up 5 OT goals this season. Let's take a look around the FPHL real quick. They're late in the second period in Blue Ridge. The Danbury Hat-Tricks have a 2-1 lead over the Bobcats. Columbus River Dragons are up 6-3 on the Motor City Rockers through 40 minutes in Columbus. Watertown Wolves have a 2-1 lead on the Binghamton Black Bears midway through the second period. So that's concerning for Elmira fans. River Sharks have picked up a point, so as we stand right now, they're up 6 points on Watertown, but that can change as the Wolves are battling with the Black Bears at home right now. Finally, Carolina Thunderbirds and Baton Rouge Zydeco are tied up at 1 in the second period. Birds are out shooting the Zydeco 29-8, but John Moriarty in net has made 28 stops for Baton Rouge. We're getting set for 3-on-3 sudden death overtime for the second straight night, and for the second straight night, the Prowlers will have to defend a 4-on-3 man advantage. It's Connor Foley, Austin Federley, and Alex Johnson for Port Huron. Out there right now for Elmira, Yarwood, Powell, Klink, and Pickford. We talked about it last night, the unorthodox power play for Elmira, where they have 3 defensemen and 2 forwards at 5-on-4. How about this? 3 defensemen, and the only forward is Klink for the 4-on-3 man advantage. Klink will take the face-off against Connor Foley. 5 minutes are up on the clock. And we are just about set to go. Off the face-off, Johnson fires it down. And 1:05 left on the too many men on the ice penalty against the Prowlers, being served by Tristan Sim. Klink works his way in. Stops up in the corner, switches spots with Powell, and gives it out to Yarwood. Now Pickford, Powell in front of the net. Yarwood faked the one-timer, gives back to Pickford, across to Klink. Pickford, one-time shot, stopped by Wallace. He had it for a moment. They blew it dead quickly, but Wallace was right back on top of it just as the whistle was blowing. 39 seconds left in the penalty, excuse me. We are 35 seconds gone in overtime. All 7 skaters that were out there to begin overtime still there. Johnson fanned on the clearing attempt as it hopped over his stick. Powell out to Pickford. Yarwood kick save by Ian Wallace on the one-timer. Pickford again, Yarwood. Johnson was right on him. They get it over to Klink. Rister wide. And Pickford again at the top. Klink, one-timer. He fanned on it a little bit. Final seconds ticking off the power play for Elmira. Pickford from straight on. He's knocked down. Prowlers have a chance the other way with numbers. Federley has Johnson with him. Drops to the trailer. Sim. And he's stopped by Bernard. And then Johnson is dumped. And it looks like the Prowlers might get a power play here. Fans yelling. They want a penalty. I saw Paul Jean point to somebody, but it looks like he's signaling 3-on-3, so nothing coming as far as a penalty. Back to even strength, another big kill from the Prowlers, PK. Their second straight kill in overtime. Frank Schumacher, her second kill in an overtime this weekend. Last night was a full 2 minutes. Scantleberry, DeCumbus, and Schumacher for the Prowlers. Young, Gaeta, and Newman for Elmira. Here is Frank Schumacher. Hustles into offensive territory, but it's poked off his stick right to Bernard. And he'll freeze it for a whistle. Both teams make changes. Prowlers have Jay Johnson and Connor Foley up against Klink, Pickford, and Parker. And Parker and Foley will take this face-off. Comes to the wall where Pickford was waiting. Touched back to Prowler ice. It's Johnson reversing to Connor Foley. Makes a move around Klink. Makes a move around Parker. 2-on-1. Jay tried to slide it over to Johnson and it's blocked by Pickford. Jay back with it. Hands off to Johnson. Didn't like what he saw, so he'll back out to center. And now Connor Foley gets it to Johnson with some space, has Jay with him, he shoots and it's stopped by Bernard. Johnson again, behind the net, tried the Michigan, and he couldn't get it all the way to go. That would have been a heck of an overtime winner if Alex Johnson could pull that one off. Saw Yarwood try that last night. Didn't work out for him either. There's Dumas. Into offensive territory. He lost it, and another odd man rush for the Prowlers. Schumacher steps around, Powell to the backhand. Stopped by Bernard. The arm is up in the air for a penalty. Schumacher is writhing in the crease. And do we have a penalty shot? I think we might have a penalty shot. They pointed to center ice, and let's see. Schumacher being tended to in the goal crease by Bridget Smith, the Prowlers trainer. But now they've put 2 minutes up on the board. So maybe I was a little premature with that. I saw the point to center ice from referee Chris Hoy. And now the discussion is being had. Let's see exactly what the call is going to be. Still a meeting of the minds. And yes, it looks like it will be a penalty shot for Frank Schumacher in overtime. An OT penalty shot, game on the stick of Frank Schumacher. He works in slowly, makes a move, and he lost it a little bit, and Bernard able to make the save. We play on. And now Schumacher wants after Pickford on the bench. Frank Schumacher is heading off the ice. They're telling Pickford the same thing. So a little bit more going on here. Pickford is actually going to the box, Schumacher to the room. So make that 3 Prowlers in the locker room after they already started the game dressing too short. Prowlers bench looking a little bit thin right now. They have 3 on the ice. And I am counting 8 on the bench right now. Plus Makar Sokolov, the backup goaltender. We will stay 3-on-3. Face off deep in River Sharks territory. Federley, Johnson, and Connor Foley, Gaeta, Powell, and Klink. Off this draw, Powell harassed by Connor Foley. Foley tripped up. Fans want a penalty. They won't get it. With a puck to open ice, and Johnson able to collect. Minute 45 to go in overtime. Connor Foley tried to move up, had it taken away, but it kicked off of Klink's skate and back to Federley. Federley waits for things to develop. Didn't like what he saw. He'll take his time. And now the pass is on to Johnson. 2-on-2 as they hit the line. Johnson back at the blue line. He'll go back out to Federley. Prowlers up on shots, 3-2 here in the overtime. And now a 2-on-1 again. Connor Foley, Johnson, Federley to the net. Connor Foley jams away, and Bernard able to make the save. Under a minute to go in overtime. Klink gave it up towards Powell. He skates into it. Powell a shot, stopped by Wallace. He clutches it to his shoulder and gets cheers from the McMorran faithful. 40.4 seconds to go in the overtime. Face off deep in Prowler territory. Federley, Scantleberry, and Parsons. Out there for the Prowlers, it's Dumas, Newman, and Yarwood. And the Prowlers have called timeout. Matt Graham looking to draw something up on the bench, or maybe just give his troops a rest. Not sure. It'd be a little tough for Graham to draw something up right now, still on those crutches, but giving his troops a second to breathe before this defensive zone face-off. We've seen it all here in the overtime. We saw a penalty shot for Frank Schumacher, and then Schumacher and Austin Pickford got matching unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. It has been a wild overtime. Prowlers have had probably 4 or 5 odd man rushes. That might even be a low estimate of their odd man rushes in this overtime. Sammy Bernard has stood tall. He's made 4 saves. Ian Wallace, to his credit, 3 as well. Elmira began the overtime with a 4-on-3 power play. that rolled over from the end of the third. And off this faceoff, Johnson looked to spring out, but he couldn't do it. Dumas taken in hard by Connor Foley, then Federle puts the shoulder into Newman. Newman forced out of the zone by Federle, 25 seconds left in overtime. Newman backing up, he'll give to Yarwood. Yarwood watched by Federle, couldn't enter the offensive zone. Newman with 10. River Sharks looking for the final shot. It's Dumas towards the net, missed it wide, and that's going to do it. How about another shootout? It's about the maximum amount of hockey that we can get between two teams in a weekend. 2 straight nights, the shootout. Prowlers won last night. That was their only shootout win this season. And it's the only shootout, overtime or shootout loss for the River Sharks this year. Both teams 1-1 in the shootout this year. Connor Foley, the only one who scored in last night's shootout. He did it in the bottom of the first round. But we have the same goaltenders out there. And we'll see if we get the same skaters and if they try any new moves. Tough to get a nicer move than the one we saw from Connor Foley. It's nicknamed the Forsberg, but he moved from his right to his left, and then as Bernard slid across, Foley put it back the way he came against the grain, and with one hand on his stick, able to poke it by Bernard. And that was the only goal of the shootout last night. Stephen Klink will go first in round number 1. Just as soon as the clock expires, with 45 seconds left on it, Klink was the third shooter for Elmira last night. He was stopped by Wallace, and that secured the victory. And the boos raining down here at McMorran Place. Everybody is ready to go, but of course we have to wait for the official clock to tick all the way down before we can get this shootout started. What will we see from Klink? He tried to go to the backhand last night. We'll see if we get anything new here tonight. Stephen Klink to kick off the shootout. In with speed. He'll take the shot, and he's stopped by Wallace. That may have hit the post, actually, as Ian Wallace goes over and gives the post a little kiss. And now Connor Foley. Scored last night in the shootout to open it. He's up in the bottom of the first. Foley in with speed, he scores! 2 for 2 in the shootout. Connor Foley, that's the Prowlers on the board first. No fancy move this time, just a quick shot. Kyle Powell, the next shooter. He comes in, the veteran, and he's stopped by Wallace as he tried to go 5-hole. And Austin Federle, a chance to end it. He was stopped last night by Bernard. Let's see if Federle can make the crowd go crazy. In slowly on the right wing side. Federle hit the post. And we go to round 3. And once again, Ian Wallace with a chance to make the game-ending save. It's Blake Peavy who has to score to keep it alive. Peavy works in, and he scores. So we continue. In the bottom of round 3, this time it's Dalton Jay's turn with the game on his stick. His dog won the dog race. Can he win the game? Score! And the Prowlers win! Dalton J with the goal in round number 3. Prowlers win the shootout 2-1. They win the game 3-2, and they sweep the weekend series with Elmira with 2 shootout victories. And Ian Wallace, between the 2 shootouts, he saw 6 shots, stopped 5 of them. And let's pause for the 3 stars of the night. So the stars of the game tonight, Brett Parker, your 3rd star, and then the 2 Prowlers that scored in the shootout, Connor Foley, the 2nd star, Dalton J, the 1st, as the Prowlers pull out 2 shootout wins on the weekend, and they move to 24-19-6, up to 72 points. Now still 3rd in the Continental. Elmira gets 1 point, and after coming in this weekend with 0 overtime or shootout losses on the season, they drop 2 games in the shootout, and their losing streak extends to 5. And more bad news for the River Sharks fans. The Watertown Wolves are up 3-1 against the Binghamton Black Bears right now, late stages, 2nd period. What a win for the Prowlers. They get themselves back on track, and they do it in the shootout. Ian Wallace, 2 big victories. Prowlers will be back on Thursday, the 28th, taking on the Columbus River Dragons at 7:05 p.m. We hope to see you here at McMorran Place, but if you can't make it, we hope to see you right here on the PHP Network, as we will have that game for you live. But for Kim running the camera and Presley helping out down below, I'm Will Wiggleman. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on the PHP Network.